are back. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Out in cyberspace.
Today we're going to do something really cool. It is my buddy's birthday. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Tzion Barlev. Mike here knows me, of course, by my original Gentile name, my birth name. I don't care that when he uses it, but for all purposes and intents, I go with my Hebrew name, Tzion Barlev, and I run a YouTube that's called Tzion Talks. It's 2 words, and Zion is spelled Tzion, so it's just Tzion Talks. I do a lot of videos that's more geared towards Judaism and Torah. But I just am now starting to get into some relationship advice with somewhat of a twist. And my main thing, though, is just promoting Judaism, the Torah, debating topics that are around spirituality and, even to non-Jews and people that just have questions, just throwing out answers and giving them references and opinions on things.
Gotta love it. So today we are having fun. We're just going to have a good session, and we will be talking about all different types of things. And I will leave that up there into the fates. So whatever we get into topic-wise, this is just the first of many. This is my first guest, and definitely look him up on YouTube, and that's Tzion Talks. And so getting started. We've been chatting it up all day. We went over and got some lunch. It was pretty cool. It's a good day today. So
today's my birthday, and he took me out. So he's a great friend.
That's it. That's how you got to be.
Friend.
Today is one of those weird days where I think the news has been really good. I haven't really seen anything in the news that's kind of saying anything bad, which is rare in these days. So today, I think what we were going to talk about was the historical truth. That was the upcoming episode. So I'm going to have fun today on this. And what do you think of when somebody says historical truth? Anything come?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the obvious, that usually you have a clash of civilizations and it's the winner of whatever war or battle that's a good one, that gets the main popular opinion of that. Yeah. So that would have to be the first point to that. But a historical truth, you also have to step back and say, what is truth? Now, I come from the idea that there is an ultimate truth.
That's what I was going to say. There's only probably one truth.
Right. Now, you can... So, and I'm not trying to just tie this back into Judaism, but Judaism teaches that although we can have our personal truths, we can be sincere in that, but it can be a lie. So you can actually be sincere in something you're doing. In other words, you believe in it, you are following it, and you think you're doing right. And, you could even pass a lie detector test on it. Like if someone gave you a polygraph test, you could pass it as long as you didn't have any information to your knowledge that contradicted the facts and the evidence. So that's what we call a personal truth. The problem is that Judaism teaches that's leading with the heart, that's following your heart. So we've got to understand that there's a personal truth and then there's the truth. And the truth is going to be an ultimate idea that when you throw all evidence and facts and opinions and debating at it, you can't shake it. So we live in a world where the media is controlling a lot of things, and
massively amount.
Yes.
Massive amount.
So when you're talking about historical truth, you got to ask, first of all, who's telling the story, and is there an agenda? What is, the goal of the story? Because like if we're going back in time, you're going to have fables, you're going to have legends. It's not just history, and everything has a rhyme and reason. And like even nursery rhymes, you're teaching children valuable lessons among the nursery rhymes. Yeah. So, I mean, those are the things that come to mind when you bring up historical truths. So it just depends on what the subject is, I guess.
When I think of like historical truths, it bugs me that there is so many different types of truths. And what you said was exactly correct, that the winner of whatever battle is the one who writes the truth for that said battle. And it kind of makes me wonder how many truths have been like hidden from people, as far as you've got monetary truths, like what started, money. You've got philosophical truths, like the things that we see in today's, everyday science, where it comes from, like, Copernicus, all these different people, like these are cool truths that, like, we've made them into facts, even if they haven't been 100% proven. So like there's like theories. So we have like the theory of relativity, the theory of what's some of the other theories that you know of?
Well, evolution technically is a theory
of evolution, the theory of what's that one?
Yeah, well, okay, so in science, a theory,
string theory.
Yeah, well, string theory's been kind of proven to a point.
Kind of, but it still goes deeper than what they think. So that's what I'm saying. They've got to give room for it to be. A lot of times I notice that too. They'll say that it's a theory, but it's pretty much proven, but it'll be like, we have to leave room for growth. So I think everybody should take that as for everything. Always leave room for growth. That's that should be a big one.
So you have principles and laws, and then you have theories, and like a theory is an objective idea on how you think something works or how it happened or whatever, but you can't prove it. And then you have stuff that you can prove. So if you can repeat an experiment and show the same results every time, then somehow or another you're able to prove what you're arguing. So like, I don't know, if we talk about flight, so you got air current under wings, and we know that if speed with wings, you get the flight lift. So you can repeat that. That's something you repeat over and over and over and over. So then you have a law of flight, but you have principles in that law. So some principles are like minor laws, I guess, but principles and laws are able to be proven by experiments, whereas theory would be like, somebody saying, hey, I'm going to make a hovercraft, or I'm going to make an anti-gravity, and
which is my
like
favorite.
Right. So like say any blueprint for
conspiracy theories. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite theories.
It's not a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying
those are my favorite theories.
Yeah. They are fun. Yeah, that
fun.
thing you sent me earlier today, I laughed about it, and you sent me like 11 or 12 conspiracy theories, and I was like, they all sound right.
They all sound real. So it's like you don't know which one's which, and it's kind of getting to those points where it's like they're almost proven, but you have to leave room, right?
Yeah.
Like just in case something comes out later, you never know. But what is, on that topic, what is some laws that govern our universe that you would consider law? Like that
gravity would be number one, but we can also show where gravity on the Earth in some places acts really wonky and weird.
Did you see the? Did you watch Joe Rogan at all?
Oh yeah, I watch him all the time. Yeah.
Did you see the new one that they had Terrence Howard on there, the actor? I don't know if
I haven't seen any new ones.
Fantastic! That guy is a genius. He's literally a scary, scary genius. I love the dude, but he's like terrifying. Who would have thought that War Machine was just this? Wow, like this guy, he's literally trying to break down science and change a new structure, disrupting theory. Like he doesn't believe gravity is an actual force.
I've heard that, yeah.
He believes that it's more of a consequence of something else. So like basically because the world is moving at 1,000 miles an hour around, plus it's going around the sun at like how many ever million miles an hour.
Well, he's not alone in that. Yeah, there's a lot of electromagnetism in this too that changes it. But there's places on the Earth where you can show that it's a level plane, but water runs uphill because of gravity.
And that's why I think he's saying, in general terms, he's saying that because it's not provable over and over again to the exact science that it needs to be, that's why he's saying it shouldn't be considered law. Like there's, what is that one? Thermodynamics.
Yeah.
That's a law. Like no matter what, entropy is another one. What's the one for equivalent exchange? Like what?
Oh, okay. But when we're talking about gravity though, so like the main principle is that what goes up comes down. But if you're saying the idea is that if I'm on a level floor and I drop my phone and it's going to go directly down, that would be an assumption.
And not necessarily that. It's more like, okay, so what goes up must come down is kind of true, but it's kind of not, because we have
if you have other things that affect it.
We have, like, helium. There's other different types of, there's other different things that can literally influence this law and change it accordingly. So, like, I don't think that a lot of the other ones can. So, as far as some of the main laws that are, like, purposefully put into our world and our existence, I don't think you can change those with other things. They're just constants. Like,
well, I'm pro science, and science is always trying to figure out things.
I like that.
I would not be shocked if someone one day made a gravity machine or an anti-gravity machine. It wouldn't shock me.
I think we've had those. It's just
it's very possible
they hide those back,
because who would want that out? Who would want that out?
Yeah, it's like, how many people, like, you think the ground is bad? Like, can you imagine there's like a 1,000 people floating above your head, just hitting and just all bad traffic.
So what if they made anti-gravity shoes that ran on water? Who would want that out?
Lord have mercy.
So first of all, in any technology, you always have the war principle where somebody's going to use it for a weapon.
Yeah.
So you would literally have an assassin. You don't even need 5 or 6 guys now.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean,
this one dude just walking
he could
up
be up in the sky. He could just be up in the sky shooting people down. Who's going to want to look up for a shooter? You know what I'm saying?
That's horrible.
I mean, and I'm just trying to think of, like, what would be outside the norm. So, like, if you see, like, a concert and people dying, you're not looking up.
But see, the crazy thing is, okay, we have, as the U.S., our government has these amazing. I'm not condoning them, but I'm going to say that
because the FBI is listening.
Right, I'm not going to condone this, but I will say that this is the most amazing technology I've ever heard of. It's absolutely terrifying. There is a missile that fires 4 projectiles off the sides of it, which are blades. And the missile comes straight down, does not do any explosive damage. It just quarters the person that it hits. That is, it'll tear through any car, any armored car that you're sitting in. It literally uses kinetic energy to just cut you in 4 pieces.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're talking about kinetic energy, there is a blueprint where they show that if a satellite just had a steel iron rod, nothing fancy, just
kinetic, it just
and just drop it.
From space, from orbit, it's like that's
it is like it's the equivalent of a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
and all it is a large steel rod they're dropping from space, and once it gets its speed, and the impact and the friction is like a nuclear explosion.
Yeah,
so
that's terrifying. Nobody
like who you don't need at that point. You don't need millions of dollars for a missile at that point. You know what I'm saying?
You don't. It's literally just a piece of rebar. Like here you go. I'm going to send this to you guys. Happy birthday.
and think about how sophisticated a radar would have to be to even pick it up.
For real.
Especially if it's a thin one,
Yeah, there's no defense against that. Like, I mean, what do you do? Like, there's no defense against it. There's no heat coming from it. It's not, well, I mean, there might be heat from it because it's coming through our atmosphere.
Yeah, it would definitely be on
as
fire.
Far as like,
point,
you're not going to be able to, I don't think there's anything that would catch that in time, because from that kind of free fall speed would just.
Well, yeah, you have to have such a thick metal. It would have to be probably bigger and thicker than a human being, because of the heat. It would melt some of that off.
Some of it, yeah.
But
tungsten, I think, is the metal that they're using, and I don't think tungsten would melt at that temperature.
I'm not sure on
much higher.
Yeah,
which is terrifying. It's like you can't just use a piece of steel. Tungsten, it burns super hot. Like you have to get it way higher than. I mean, even blowtorches would have trouble getting that up to that kind of heat.
So that's why we have the Geneva Conventions, though.
Yeah, to stop that crazy stuff from happening. Like,
but some mad scientists out there doing it.
Plus, I mean, think about it. They don't stop for anything. I mean, you've got people who say that you're not supposed to use cluster munitions.
Oh yeah. People will make it and then show it off.
Do it. Yeah, you're not supposed to use gases, and I think what was it, Vietnam? They had tons of like, what was it, that mustard gas? They had that other Agent
Well,
Orange.
the reason they got away with it is 'cause I know for a fact that when mustard gas was used, they claimed that it was not lethal, but what it did is it poisoned that person. And at first, they lied. But the way that they pulled it off is by changing the definition and the terms. And they're like, oh yeah, it'll poison somebody. No, it'll kill them too.
Kill them, yeah. Especially like they found that it crept into these little holes. So like if a person was like in a foxhole or some kind of like dugout trench, it just sept. Just seep in there, and just everybody in there is just going to die because you're not getting out of there in time.
Yep.
It's going to affect your respiratory, and you just go out. And that's weapons of war are just awful, man. They're weird. It's just like that's our way of saying, hey, I really hate that dude over there. I wish I could just poke him in the eye over there. Like,
well, but
like they just come up with the craziest stuff.
The problem with modern warfare today is that if your enemy has something and you're trusting them not to use it, and you don't have it, then how do you balance that? So that's why they do that. That's why, like, oh, you got nuclear bombs, I'm going to get nuclear missiles now. And I'm going to get faster nuclear missiles. I'm going to get smaller ones. I'm going to get... So then they show that off, and they're like, oh, you got 50? Cool, I got 750. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're wanting up...
And the next person at all times.
In a way, it is a safety blanket, but in another way, it's dangerous because now you've got lots of these things. And by the way, Russia has officially said that they can't find around 20 or 30 of their nukes.
Which like is funny because they're just basically posturing to say, hey, we're going to use this here in the future. It's going to happen, but we don't want you to think that it was us. So that's
or they sell it on the black market, or somebody stole it, you know? Who knows?
I mean, it's at a point where we had Cold War, where basically a Cold War was just we were at war, but nobody wanted to admit that we were at war. Nobody wanted to throw the first punch. So they did everything in secret. So people would just be dying left and right, like as if it was a normal war, but you didn't want to leave any evidence to say that this was said war. And that's just asinine. It's like, just say you're at war. I mean, be done with it. Let's fight it out if that's the case. This is so stupid. Cold War.
Yeah, the espionage is the main thing, and trying to hurt the other guy economically.
Yeah. These sanctions are ridiculous. I mean, those things are so strong. I mean, if you sanction off a person's way to eat or make money, trust me, that adds up. Like, if I come to your work and me and you are beefing, and I come to your work and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sanction this guy to where he makes only 1 cent off of every dollar that goes through his bank account. So he can only literally use 1% of, and I mean, that's being super extreme. I don't think they're that.
Well, so the proper way to do sanctions is no matter how bad of a person they are, when you sanction them, you have to have a council of people like the UN, and then you have to tell them there's a way to get out of it.
If they act accordingly. Right.
So if it's done in a way where it's like a punishment and it's like, oh, you want to sell your cars to us? Okay, well, there's going to be a tax on that.
Right.
So they don't have enough population, but we have a large population with more money. So they're willing to still, export their cars. And of course, their cars are imported to us, but they're sanctioned on the taxes. So if you sanctions can be a good way to avoid war. That's actually why they were created. And a lot of people don't understand it today. Like, sanctions are the way to not go to war. So if you don't like somebody in the Middle Ages and in the medieval times, you went to war with them. Today we can say, oh, well, we don't like that about you. We can sanction you. But you got to give a way out of it.
That's where it gets scary for me, because it's like, so these sanctions can be locked in place for generations. So
that's what I'm saying, is that there needs to be rules like.
But then again, who runs the rules? So
then they change every presidency too.
So, and just because this company that started the rules at the beginning was very good and just, doesn't mean that their generational descendants are going to be good and just, or they're going to use it. And then sometimes you'll have higher bidders. Like if I'm going to pay you a certain amount to sanction that person over there, so I give you an incentive to work with me and sanction them. That happens a lot too, I would imagine.
You actually force some people to take allies that they would have never had with some sanctions. But we're sanctioned too we're even sanctioned by Canada and France, and they're our allies.
That's kind of rough.
I mean, but we've sanctioned China really bad a lot lately.
Is Canada gonna sanction us?
No, Canada has
Ryan
sanctioned us on
Reynolds,
several
you need to
things,
get onto this. You need to stop this nonsense.
Well, I think that we sanctioned
Ryan
Canada.
Reynolds for president.
Yeah, I'd vote for him in a
in a
heartbeat,
heartbeat.
man. I don't
In a heartbeat.
just for his smart assness.
Yeah, he needs to run Canada. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, I think it was the aluminum. It was either us sending them aluminum that we were sanctioned on, or we sanctioned their aluminum back. It was something with aluminum.
Wasn't that other doctor, the one that does his own little podcast, has been on Joe Rogan a couple of times? That doctor, he's a real nice guy.
There's several doctors on Joe Rogan.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right? He's like a psychologist.
Are you talking about the Japanese doctor that's a scientist?
I think he's Canadian.
Oh, I don't know.
He's a doctor. He's super smart. He does all the stuff on. I think he's a Christian. He's a hardcore Christian, but he's like.
I have no.
He's like man law. Like what he talks about is all about men. And he had this one saying that says, if you're going to be, if you try to say that you're non-violent and a man, you're not going to be a very good caregiver, because as a man you need to be.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name now. I drew a blank.
That's the
he's an older gentleman, and he was a teacher at a college.
Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what is his name?
I cannot think of his name for nothing. Super
Jordan Peterson.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I'm actually a huge Jordan Peterson fan. It's just I went blank. I don't know why.
He could be a really good president for Canada as well. I would definitely see him be.
He'd be way better than what they got.
Way better. I don't understand why he's not running. I don't see. That's the thing. On to another topic. I'm sorry. We're going to go through these tangents. I hate the fact that out of all the great Americans that we have in our country, that we are down to these two people. Like, I do not understand this. Like, you mean to tell me we can't find anybody better to run the country than these two people? Like,
who are they going to blackmail, you know?
It's rough.
Okay, so
we as people need to understand that blackmail is a thing.
Yes, they blackmail.
And I think that we need to take the power away from that, because if the people understand that blackmail is a thing, all people are inherently bad to start out with. So if we put that as the main caveat, that we are all idiots, but we can learn from our mistakes to be better people, but it starts at, you have to have some kind of a justification for what it is that you're doing, right? Like, you've got to understand. And
blackmail's not just even companies in this country. It can be other because I know Russia was big
on blackmailing
the Clintons.
Yes.
Like,
so what I'm saying is, so as the American people, if we're smart enough to know that these things are happening, that blackmail is a palpable, strong technique that these other countries are using against us, then I think our people who are in charge would have a much easier way to come out to us and be like, hey, listen, guys, I was a fucking idiot. I did this, and now they're blackmailing me on this. And they could come out and actually talk about it, and people would be more understanding on that. But unfortunately, we're living in this cancel culture where if you even say that you were like blackmailed, people are like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
They'll just kick you off of it.
Yeah. I mean, we all would want a honest politician, but where are you going to find them?
It'd be nice.
Where? I mean,
it'd be nice.
And
to be honest, I think there is honest politicians in our Congress. I think we have honest politicians. The problem is that the unhonest ones, the ones that aren't and that are getting paid to do this stuff, are able to capitalize on that, and they use that as momentum to stifle them down.
Yeah, but we also don't know everything behind the scenes, and there's going to be blackmail. There's going to be people that try to find things on even the best guy or the best woman.
It doesn't matter what they are, what they're capable of. I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. Like, they get into, like, they could have the best, most honorable intentions, and as soon as they hit Capitol Hill, that place is so corrupt that it literally corrupts. It's like a piece of steel going into salt water. It's just instantly tarnished. You have no choice on it. So it kind of makes me feel like, as the people, they could coat this person. Like, what do they call that in the community that you did? Teflon.
What are you talking about?
Is where you protect somebody. Like, if you like like your rabbis and stuff, you guys like them enough, you guys protect them, right? Like,
we protect them. We have a
what's it called? Teflon or it's not Teflon, is it? It's
no. Are you talking about? Well, Tehillim is Psalms, and to filling is where you're wrapping.
That's the thing I was thinking of. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
wrapping,
yeah, yeah.
but it's like a protection, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about mystical protection. Yeah,
Right,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah, there's
like-
laws that state that if you wear the tzitzit, the strings, and if you wear the wrap that goes on the arm and on the head, and you do the daily prayers, that
gives
you
you, like,
are
a protection.
protected. Yes.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we as people in the United States could protect our senators and our congressmen and our mayors and I think the lower tier ones are the most important ones to protect. Like, Congress,
but that's not to say that they're not going to do something stupid and mean or evil or even be
that's-
blackmailed later.
but
I mean,
at this day and age, it's kind of hard to do that. Like,
Yeah.
at this day and age, everything is out. Everything is exposed. Everything's on camera. Like, you've got junior sleuths that are on the case. They are
Ace
they're not-
Ventura
you know what I'm
on the
saying?
case.
Like, you've got the Hardy Boys looking after you. You've got
Alrighty.
you've got people that are in the woodworks. There's some guy in a basement who's just watching you. He knows what you did last summer, and he's gonna tell everyone. He's gonna tell them. it's we don't have the reporters that we used to have, because it feels like if they,
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
if
that's
they-
preach. Yeah, preach it.
if they get a story, like it used to be, like, man, if they got a hold of a story, that thing was going to be blasted. It
Yep.
was going to be put on every,
Because they're
social
whistleblowers in a
media.
way. Yeah.
That's another thing. Why are we punishing the people who are trying to help us? Like, what's that one guy's name who was the main whistleblower?
There's been so many, man, and so
this
many
one's-
companies.
This one's like the best whistleblower.
Like,
He talked about how our government was spying on us, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even know, possibly.
Yeah, that actually started from Dick Cheney, not from Bush, but Dick Cheney kind of took over when Bush was in office, and Dick Cheney was passing laws, and it was like what we were talking about earlier, where they make these laws with these giant books.
We were talking earlier, and we were
Oh,
saying
man.
that it's weird that Congress and Senate will pass these laws, but you know, back in the day, a law could have been 8 pages, and
Yep.
now they're thousands of pages, and they're like, oh, you have a certain time frame that you have to read this
Yep.
before you vote for this,
And they're
the
sneaking
problem
stuff
is-
in.
Yeah, and the problem is that on page 7,462, we snuck this little proposal in there, and
It's like one little sentence. By the way, AT&T is going to pick up everything you say in your house
Yep.
and give it to the government, and everything you say, and yeah.
like, I'm
There's going to be a library
I'm sorry, but
under the Pentagon with
you
everything
should have
ever
read the
said.
fine print. We're going to neuter you. It's like you didn't know that you get a free neutering when you come in here. I mean, it's great. Like,
We're going to use Amazon and Alexa. Yeah. We're going to listen.
we're going to give you a bunch of money, but we're cutting them balls off.
Yep.
Like they're coming off. Like
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and that's what's sad is, and it gets to the point because they know if they put so many pages in these laws that the common people aren't going to want to read
Aren't
that.
gonna read that, yeah.
Who's going to
gonna
sit
read
there and
that?
read on? The politicians don't even read it.
You can go right now. And I promise you that if somebody's hearing this, I hope they try this. You can go to any college in the country and ask them just simple stuff. Like, ask them what their rights are. Just can you name off 10 of your rights? Like, can you? Like, most people will be like, I have the right to an attorney. I have the right. I have the right to remain silent.
Well,
Like,
the big
you
things-
you do have those rights, but that's not the ones that we're talking
Right.
about.
So I heard a really dumb one the other day where they were saying you don't have the right to protest, and that's not correct. It's actually
you do. That's
you do have the
protected.
right to protest, but it has to be formed, and it has to be in a public way that it's not damaging to the public. You can't be out flipping cars and setting fires.
See,
You know.
the problem where it becomes weird for that one, for the protesting, is that they say that you are protected by your right to protest. But the problem is these people are trying to protest the people who are giving the rights. Like, it's not that they're giving the rights. They're kind of like, okay, so like, if
I know what you're saying, but
if
they
our-
didn't give the right. Most people today, there's either two sides: the people that want to take away your rights or redefine it, and then the people who want to say no, those rights are ancient in U.S. history.
which is what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
our country goes down, like if the top leaders, the top people in our country stop being that, like if the rule of law that's in
Yep.
our country stops being the rule of law, guess what? you don't have any of those rights. Those rights disappear.
Yep.
So this is what I'm saying. The people who are trying to like protest, they're protesting the people who are running these laws, that are protecting these laws. So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, yes, we want to be able to protest when someone's bad, i.e. a bad person is using these laws to protect themselves in a horrible way. These people need to be accounted and need to be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's being a problem.
Well, but they define that in your rights. So they say you have the right to protest peacefully.
Right.
So, I consider myself a follower and student of Martin Luther King Jr. And what he said is he wanted everybody to show up in their Sunday best.
Yes.
You don't see that today.
You don't see that today.
So he understood that there was media that was trying to go against him. In the South, the media was trying to go against him.
Horribly.
The media were like, oh, this is a bunch of black people that are riled up. And they never showed the white people that were marching with them.
Yeah.
Not in the South. So Martin Luther King, he was a genius, and he was like, no, you show up in your Sunday best. Mm-hmm. We're going to walk. You know, they had signs. They chanted. But they were totally peaceful, the majority of them.
And I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they got the message out, and then it grew over time.
Then you have the problem with that, though, it again is what we were talking about earlier. It doesn't matter who or what group you join. One person in that group does something stupid, and it makes everybody look like shit. Everybody. Right. So if you are trying to protest something big on your school campus, and you go and you chain yourself to the ground and you cut off traffic and you start making an ass out of yourself, you're defeating your own purpose.
Right.
You're defeating the people who are actually trying to help you. You're defeating the other people that are in your group that aren't trying to do that are trying to do it the right way. You're setting your own cause back on fire. Like you're setting it on fire back there. And
do you ever watch Asmongold? You ever watch him?
Asmongold? I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a gamer, but he's been doing some things here and there.
Yeah.
He made a really good comment, and Asmongold is not known for his intelligence, at least. I mean, he's just a cool gamer dude and a geek. Yeah. But he actually was complaining.
To me, that's the best. Like,
yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
He actually was making a point saying that these Antifa people that are stopping the traffic and hitting the cars, he was like, to the common person that's just trying to go to work or they're going to McDonald's, he's like, dude, I don't care what you're protesting.
Yeah.
If I find out you're stopping me from going to go get my
you're making me
McBurger, I don't want nothing to do with whatever
I want to hate the thing that you're protesting. Yeah. Like, that's literally what that is.
And I thought that was very good. And he was making the point, what if I had to go to the hospital? And
what I mean, yeah.
You know, even if it's not an emergency and you're visiting someone in the hospital, you know,
you're taking away my choice to choose to care about the thing that you're wanting me to care about. Like, if you're standing on the side of the road and you've got signs and you're out of traffic and you're just standing on the side of the roads, I'm going to look at that and I'm going to make my choice to say, hey, you know what? They're right. I think I should look into that more when I get to the house, or I should do something about that whenever I get my chance to do so. You standing in the middle of the street is going to make me see whatever sign you've got, and I'm going to be like, I hate them.
Right.
I absolutely hate everything they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And you're going to get people who don't want to deal with your stuff at that point, and they're going to literally hate whatever cause you're for. It doesn't matter if it's saving people from cancer. They're going to be like, you know what? I hope that you get cancer. That's what people will think. They will literally, they will wish it on you. And I think the problem happens with all of these groups. The main thing that I see is they will be held hostage by people who they'll utilize the group to gain money.
Yep.
And then so instead of it being for like, you know, you'll have people that are doing it for a good cause, but then you'll have another group over here that's just doing it to gain money.
Yep.
And then it no longer looks like it's for a good cause because they're still part of the same group.
Yeah.
Even if they don't even ever talk to each other.
That Sean King from Black Lives Matter, that's what he did. He took his top 10 lieutenants or whatever. Yep. They all have mansions now. They all have multiple cars, mansions.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the average people weren't helped at all.
Yeah, you've ruined the cause for what you wanted to get. You wanted to get some
But you have people like that on all sides of the
Yes,
political aisle.
this is the reason
So
I was gonna
I'm
say
not
that.
just attacking the left. I mean, it happens on the right too all the time.
The reason I was going to say that was, okay, you have billionaires, and we're close to. I'm fairly certain that there's trillionaires out there, and if you want to really get serious on a fact of something, the people that have trillions of dollars, and we'll stick with the billionaires. The billionaires. If you get one billionaire on your side, you don't have to do stupid stuff to make your money. This person will help endorse every and anything you'll ever need, but
Yep.
you need to have a concordance where everybody is together and they're like, hey man, like whatever he's talking about, man, that sounds really good. That guy knows what he's talking about. He's factual. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's bringing it out there to the people. I think I can get on board on that. Now all of a sudden you've got a billionaire that's behind you and making sure that you're well taken care of.
Yep.
You don't have to do shady stuff. And with the Black Lives Matter, they had the process and the power to have billionaires be on their team. And instead of doing something good with it, they pocketed the money. So
Right.
you take it however you want to take it. I'm just saying that that's not the way that needed to go down. And
Yeah. Yeah, when you add violence and you try to make your you try to put like you try to press people and you try to put them down for not having the same opinion.
You're gonna force them the other way.
Yeah, you are going to force them to hate you. And so on the like I know we're talking about the left right now, but like in the 80s on the right, it was the abortion clinics.
Yeah, it was the same
we had
way.
abortion bombers. So on the right side, if you want to look at that, we had
radical people who were blowing up churches.
Yes,
You had
yes.
all kinds of stuff that was going on. And
Yep.
and to be honest, some of those people like didn't want any of those things to happen, but yet they were part of those groups. And guess
Right.
what happens?
Right.
You're stuck. Like now you look like an idiot, or you look like the bad guy because one idiot went into a church and blew it up. Now nobody wants to deal with any of you. Like that's how that goes.
So this is why the freedom of speech and the freedom of media and the press is so important, because if you can find someone teaching something bad or doing something bad, you expose them.
Yep.
And the easiest way to do that is usually by giving them a microphone and a soapbox and let them talk.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's what does it. But you'll notice a lot of the media today, they don't want that person to talk. They tell you what that person said and they add to
censorship
it.
it to make it where you
or they
can't get your
censorship it.
message out. Or I have been doing this podcasting for a while, but I had it to where it wasn't on video, and I was talking about mainly money, and I thought, people love money. Why wouldn't they want to listen to how to make it and how to get things going good? And instead, I got silenced pretty quick in it. And I think it was because I was sharing too much positivity and I was a little ahead of my time. And I don't think that it got the message across that it needed to get. I had good interviews, and hopefully here soon I still have those interviews. I found them on my machine, which is great.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There was a
Put them up
backup-
on.
There was a backup copy, and
I was on one of
I
them.
was about to say,
Yeah.
I have the one for you. I've got the one for my buddy Angelo. My Pammy.
Do you remember what I said? And I
passed
told
away.
you it was the quote that stuck with me about money. I said it was on that podcast. I said that one of the guys that was teaching me about stocks told me a quote that I never got until later. And he said, do not ever underestimate how bad people want to stay poor. And I was like, dude, that's not, no, everybody needs money. Everybody will do anything for money. He was like, no, never underestimate how bad somebody wants to stay poor.
You're absolutely right.
And I'm telling you, man,
this last year, I have really tried to make my business. I do woodworking on the side. As you can see, you've got my chessboard in the back here. I've done signs for people. I've done all these really amazing, cool stuff. And getting people to work with me, like to actually work, is difficult. People don't want to make money. They don't want to work. They don't want the chance. And my last podcast that I had, just this last episode, was fantastic because mid episode, I think that I actually cracked the code on a really cool thing. And I came up with this, it was pretty neat. So if
is it the thing you're talking about where you said,
steps.
12 people, you get them together to make a pizza or something
No,
like
that
that.
one was hilarious. I've been saying that for years.
I like that.
That's like you get 12 people together and try to have them order a pizza. That pizza's going to taste like shit.
They want to.
Everybody's going to want to put something in. Anchovies. I want feces. Like what? Why do you want? Oh God. People are weird. But no, I came up with this weird thing about the steps, and it was really cool because as I was talking, I was saying it out loud in my head, and it clicked, and it just made total sense. These steps that you get locked into a position, and you could have been born on this step. It doesn't even matter. Like your family could have done all this hard work and got to right here, and then you come along and you're born right on this step. Let's say you meet a really good friend, and that good friend is way down here, and they don't have the means or the extra stuff that you've got, but they're working hard. They're learning the parts of the steps, and by not by too long, they're actually passing you on a certain level, and then they give you a hand up, like, "Hey, man, this is what I'm doing nowadays. Come make this money with me," and they give you a hand up, and you can go higher than they are because your steps might be higher than them.
And that sometimes they'll fight you on it too, man.
Sometimes they'll fight you on it. And sometimes people aren't ready to take those steps. And I don't think it's their fault, like per se. I think that like a person can just be acceptable where they're at. Some people just want to stay on the little coast that they're on. They want to just coast. They don't want to put any effort in this world. Like they're like, the world is hard enough. I don't want to add to it. And it's understandable, to be honest. I'm with you. I can understand.
It's hard though to get out of your comfort zone. It's hard on anything.
It is.
I mean, it isn't. We don't even have to talk about money on that. We can talk about anything, politically, religiously. I mean, anything.
And
like
most people don't want to say that they're wrong, and that's what
true.
I said. Also, I said it's rare that you meet somebody who goes, you know what, I'm on this path, but I'm looking at it ahead. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe this isn't the path that I want to choose, and maybe I should just get off of this path now and turn my life around a little bit. And that is okay. That is acceptable. Mm-hmm. You can do this. That I will cheer you on as you do this. Like, if you are looking at what's going on in the world and you're like, the group that I am in right now doesn't, they're not holding the same goals and principles that I'm holding and that I'm trying to appeal to. And it's like, if they're not holding up to their end of the part of this, I don't have to be there. You don't have to help them. You can go away from it. Or
that goes back to birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah,
so you look at who you're hanging around with.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and also one thing we don't have today is a lot of young men in ancient days had a mentor.
Yeah,
and that is something it's kind of rare today because you hear about life coaches and mentors today, and people are like, "Oh, that's a scam. That's a scam." It's not always a scam because that person you may be paying for, they're putting their reputation and their business on the line to try to help you. So, and there's something in us where we just don't trust everybody. I get that.
That's the main one for me.
I get that part.
I've had people say, "Hey, why don't you become a life coach?" And I'm like, "I'm a fucking idiot. That's why."
That's what qualifies. That's what qualifies the best life coaches, though, because if you failed or you've messed up at something, you can actually relate to somebody who is your student. You know.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of people today, you got to have a mentor.
You really do, though.
Yeah, if you can find a mentor, and it's got to be somebody that you look at that has accomplishments that you want. Mm-hmm. And also,
to be honest, they don't even need to know you. You don't even, like, you can watch somebody from afar and,
that's true,
and take the tips that you see them doing and be like, I like that. I'm going to use that in my every day-to-day. So.
Yeah, the way the internet and the communication is, we have like so much at our fingertips, and like people aren't using it properly.
Yeah. I see a lot of people right now. Like, my favorite people right this second are the people who are trying to make a positive, like, transition into the next whatever phase they are in their life. Like, if I see somebody and they're just coasting, I'm not mad at them. I'm not wanting to, but I'm not going to listen to them either because I feel like they're coasting. But if I see somebody like really physically trying to help others, like going out of their way to like do better, it doesn't even matter if it's by little bits. even if it's small increments and I see them doing better, by all means, I'm going to support
You're
that.
talking about their character, though, not fine. You're just talking
All of
about,
it, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
The way that they hold
Oh, yeah,
themselves,
100%.
like the way,
Yeah.
the things that they're learning, like how much they go into something. Like if you show me that you care in reading a book, just in reading a book, you can come to me and be like, bro, take a look at this fucking comic book. It's amazing. I will promise you, I will find something in it that is amazing. I'll be like, dude, you were right.
Yeah.
This is cool. And I'll be happy about it because I've seen the enthusiasm you had when you brought it up to me.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to birds of a feather. So if you're connecting with somebody that you appreciate and respect to a point, and you see him as an equal or you know, a brother or a
That's the
friend.
problem. See, I see everyone as an equal. I don't see anybody better or worse.
Well, you can't be that. Okay, so they're human and they deserve respect, but
no, that's not what I mean. Like that too, but what I mean by that is, again, with the steps that I had like previously talked about, you can be born on a step, and you could be a piece of dirt and trash your whole life, do nothing but bad, and one day a lightning bolt creeps up your butt
That's
and
true.
just hits you, and you're like, dude, what I've been doing is just stupid. Like, why did I do this? And your whole life can turn around to where you're now up here higher than most of the people that's been doing this whole time, because I don't understand. Like sometimes it happens like that. So for me, I've always looked at everybody as equal. Everybody has a little sliver of the divine in them. Like the creator adds
that's true.
signature to you. And that little piece of him is
right.
Is
So what I'm talking about though is if somebody came up to you and you knew for a fact that they were a crack dealer, and then somebody else a second person came up to you and you knew for a fact that they were a banker, they were an entrepreneur, and they're wearing a suit, and both of these men are before you, and they say, hey, I need $200 from you. I will invest it for you. You'll get a payback. I can't promise you what you'll make, but you're going to make more than your $200. Which one are you going to choose? That's what I'm talking about on equal. So
That makes sense.
It's not wrong to judge people, and it's not wrong to say it's not wrong to not trust either.
You're right.
Okay?
We had that one conversation where we were like, if you see a guy come into a room and he's wielding a knife and he's just like, you better judge him quickly, because I'm just going to say that could cost you your life.
He's not there to invite you to dinner.
We're just going to say you better judge quick, because
Yes.
not going to be a good moment.
So, but on the idea of
right.
everybody deserves respect, everybody deserves love. Yes, everybody deserves their life.
But
yes,
to an extent. Right.
To an extent,
Right, yeah.
because now if that
sense.
same person is like, hey, I deserve the right,
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you call that? That's where they're entitled. Entitled. Is
Yes.
the thing. I hate that
Yes,
more
yes,
than
yes.
anything. Entitlement.
If someone is
You're
humble,
entitled to fuck off.
yeah. If somebody's humble and they come to you, it's more easier for you to accept them. But like,
That's as far as your entitlements go for me.
yeah.
Like,
So socially, there is a hierarchy in the social human structure. But I'm not downgrading people. People can be low on the steps and they can rise above it, or they can be fighting it and stuck in it. You never know what somebody's going through. But what I'm saying is that if the crack dealer came to you and said, I need $200, I'll invest it, you'll get your money back, I promise you'll get more than $200, or the businessman that has involvement in it, who you're going to choose. All your survival instincts are going to go with, if I'm going to give anybody $200, it'll be the businessman.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been on the receiving end of that. I've been the crack dealer. Like I've been a drug dealer in my lifetime. I've done horrible deeds that set me apart from other people, where I explain to people all the time, I'm like, I'm a piece of crap. Like I always remind you need to use the past term. So
right. if you're going to belittle yourself, use the past term, but I don't think you should belittle yourself, because you're a good person today. You're a good person now, man.
But
I'm not an angel.
My survival instincts are what kicked in from when I was a kid to get by. That's how I had to get by sometimes. And I'm not proud of the things that I did.
Yeah.
But I'm not, at the same time, I'm not like,
okay, but you don't have to go into specifics and tell everybody unless you want to. But you got to look at it. It goes back to birds of a feather. At that time, we were all hanging around bad people,
You're
dude.
right. You are right.
We were all, because I've known this guy since we were teenagers in high school, and even before that. And we were even in the Boy Scouts. You got to keep in mind, we were hanging around some bad people.
We were. And that could be the reason. But I like to for me specifically, I like to take my own dirt that I have done, and I don't care what somebody else influenced, is me. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, when I pass away, I can't look at God and say, they told me to do it. Like, I don't
No,
think
but they
that's
influence
gonna work.
you. So like the difference is now you have accountability.
Right. So
Back then
I
was,
didn't have accountability.
well, you were on survival mode, but you were also birds of a feather. So
I didn't
we were
care
hanging around bad
except
people.
for-
Dude,
yeah.
there was some dumb stuff I did too. Like something that really bothers me is I give a lot of charity today, and it's because I hung around some people, not with the other group that you knew, but another group of boys. And we literally had competitions, I kid you not, of going to the mall, the Huntington Mall and the Ashland Mall, and stealing everything that we could, loading up the car with it, and then taking off and then going back next weekend to do it again. And I think about that all the time, about how much stuff I stole. It doesn't matter that it was from companies. It doesn't matter that, oh, they had the money. It was the fact that I stole stuff, and like, I regret that.
Me too.
So the accountability is there. But I have no room now for guilt. Guilt does nothing for you. All it does is it holds you down. So yeah, I feel bad for it, but I'm not going to sit there and talk about it and say, "Oh, I'm a piece of crap. I'm this. I'm that." You recognize it, you admit it, and then you try to fix it. So I give a lot of charity now today because of that.
I'm a nice shiny piece of crap now. Like,
There you go. We are all shiny pieces of crap.
I've polished this turd pretty well. I met this. He was a billionaire, and he was over in Hawaii, and I met this guy, and he said this really cool quote. He said, "If you want to soar with the eagles, you can't be hanging out with turkeys."
Exactly. Yep.
And I was like, damn, that kind of hit me in the face. Like, because really, he said, okay, so he said, you've got 5 people that are always beside you at any given point in time in your lifetime. You can count it on both hands. You'll have 5 good ones and 5 bad ones. And he said, who you hang out with is the person who's going to determine what you do in the next 5 years. Yep. So if you've got 5 idiots that are just wasting their time doing nothing but doing drugs all the time, guess what's going to happen in the next 5 years? You're going to be the 6th one. You're going to be that person.
Yep.
If you've got 5 people over here that are making multi-million-dollar moves every single day, they're putting in business, they're working their butt off, and they're doing all these good things. Guess what you're going to be in the next 5 years? You're going to be doing the same thing, because who you hang out with, ultimately, it connects, and
right.
That's who you're.
And I don't want to drop any names, but me and you both know some of the guys that we went to school with, and they've not changed, you know that, and you can see. But now, when you compare your life to them, man, you see that you're way higher up on that stage now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, in a weird way, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm still that idiot from Little Solida that.
But who would be more prone to do something criminal-wise?
Definitely not me now.
Okay, yeah. See, you have accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can see some of these other guys going to prison again or going to jail again.
I'm trying my best to start companies and just be better. Like, I'm getting into religion, but I've not really mastered it or figured it out yet. But I mean, like anything, I'm just taking my time with it and trying to do the best I can. But I feel like the growth that you have leads to those steps again that I'm talking about. And it's like, when you're ready and you get tired of the plateau that you're on, you're going to start looking towards these steps on how to get up higher and get out of the little circles that you're in that are just going to keep causing you to go bad. Like, after your 5th or 6th time being arrested, you're going to be like, bro, maybe I've messed up and I should have took a left at Albuquerque.
Yeah. So that's another thing is we one big thing religiously is that we always got to look at our blessings, not what we don't have that we want. We got to look at who we are today and the blessings we have.
Just being grateful.
So, I mean, you have a nice life right now. You don't, I mean, I'm not saying you don't have stress, but
tons of it.
If you compare the problems that we had 20 years ago, or the things that we were doing 20 years ago, or the things we could have done 20 years ago to today, I mean, there's still the stress, but there's mountains that we've climbed. You know what I mean? There's mountains we've climbed. There's lessons we've learned.
I'll definitely say that I would definitely handle it a lot better today than I ever would have back then.
Yeah.
I think for me, I wanted to fit in a lot of the places, and a lot of people can't admit that one.
Well, yeah, peer pressure is all the time, man.
I wanted to fit in. Like, that was my big thing. Like, being mixed kind of has its horrible moments in weird ways. It's like, I can go hang out with anybody that's black and they'll be like, you're not black enough. I can go hang out with anybody that's white and they'll be like, oh, you're black. So it's like neither side wanted to really deal with me. But then,
well, I hope you never felt that from me, man. I've never, ever thought that about you.
There's people that you'll meet that won't have that stigma, and you won't ever feel that way from them. Like,
I got black family. I mean,
it's like, it won't matter what you. It doesn't matter what you are. Those are the people that I'm talking about. But those are your 5 people. Now, if you're lucky enough to get 5 people that are doing nothing but business, like good business, you're lucky, because that's awesome. And I've met a lot of friends of mine who come from really good families that could have learned all kinds of cool stuff, but they chose to be down in the muck with me, which is weird. But at the same time, it's like, you had this ability to do whatever up here, but you chose to be down here. So sometimes people aren't ready for the steps that come to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you'll meet those 5 people, and if you've got good ones, awesome. Just stick with them. That's amazing. Now, if you've got 5 bad ones, you can do as much as you can to try to help them to get up these steps with you. But if they're not willing to change with you, sometimes you got to let them go and cut their ties to just be like, hey, look, man, I like hanging out, but we got to make money, or we got to do something. Put ultimatums out there if you need to make it better.
I've had several circles of friends that I've cut completely off out of my life.
And you have to.
Yeah. And like, some people just don't grow. And of course there are some.
I will give chances. Like, I will be look, man, like I'm not going to say any names, but I've had female friends that are amazing and I love them to death, but they just wanted to just keep doing drugs, and I'm not going to follow them through that line of, wherever they're going, I'm not going there. So I'm trying to keep myself away from that kind of harm. And sometimes loving yourself tells you that you have to be like that. You have to figure that out for yourself and say, hey, look, I want better for myself tomorrow than what this is trying to offer me today. And sometimes you got to pass up the quick meal to get the bigger meal later. So
yeah, but it all goes back again to the birds of a feather and not having a mentor. I mean, even though I had a lot of amazing older men in my life, like from the Boy Scouts and stuff, I just never clung to them. Like, I mean, I didn't cling to him until I was maybe a little later. And then when I started appreciating my grandfather and really seeing him as a mentor, it was a lot, maybe when I was around maybe 17, 18, and I started to really appreciate that man. And then I realized in my young adult life, I would never be able to fill his shoes. That's what I used to say. Yeah, your
awesome.
But I feel like I've surpassed him now in a lot of things.
That's cool.
And that is that is something that nobody can take away from me. That's like a badge of honor. So
my grandfather is like a Kentucky colonel. Like, he's like this badass. Like, people love that man. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able to get past my grandpa's shoes, but I will try my best to keep it. Like,
but see, that's what having a mentor does. It makes you see that mountain and you're climbing it. And there's going to be a ton of men that look up to you, and they're like, I'll never be able to be like Mike. I'll never. No, they will. They'll think that, man. I'm telling you, they'll think that. I have people all the time that contact me for religious stuff, and I'm all the time like, look, I'm not an angel. They think I'm holy and this and that. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not an angel.
I get that a lot. I'm not trying to be like that.
Yeah.
That's why I've explained it several times on the podcast. I'm like, look, I never want you to feel like I'm anything special. I'm just a guy that's going through life, has circumstances that it has to live through. I've got guilt just like anybody else. I've made mistakes just like anybody else. I put my shoes on the same way you do. Like, everything is accordance.
But you are a philosopher, and that is your strong point. You are a real heavy thinker, and on a lot of your crafting and stuff.
Sometimes to a detriment. I will
put thought into all your stuff,
that's what I was
man.
about to say. I will put something like this, and I'll put so much work into it that I won't even let it come out because I'll think that it's not
Yeah.
good enough. And I've missed a lot of opportunities because I've overthought something, and I'll see somebody else do something where it feels like they didn't put any effort or thought in it at all, and it just goes out and they make huge acclaim. I used to be a rapper. A lot of you guys won't know this, but you can look up on YouTube, I promise you, under Mr. Chuck C, all one word, Mr. Chuck C. And yeah, you can see my songs. I actually was a rapper at one point in time, and I was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of them. There were some good songs on there, man.
And I promise you, I probably could have been, by today's standards, I probably could have been super rich and famous, but I didn't want to let any of that stuff out because I felt like I was endorsing a stereotype that I didn't want to endorse.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, sometimes your principles can be worth more than what somebody can pay you. So I just happened to be lucky enough to stick to my guns when it came to that. So, I mean, not everybody can. And and I've seen a lot of guys come up with just some you know,
mumbling.
You know what I mean? And that's a $1 million record that they've just made.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I couldn't do it. My lyrics had to be severe. Like,
yeah, once you get a social standing though and a following, that's kind of where it pays off. So it's like
problem for me.
Some of these people today though, they're just not clever. They're really not, and they got 50,000 writers.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Like some of Beyonce's stuff that she's written, that they showed one song that was popular. Well, I don't remember which one it was, but it had 39 writers for it. She didn't write any of it. 39 writers, man.
That's insane. All right, so for me, as far as like, I wrote all my own music. Like, my lyrics are mine. Like, that's Mr. Chuck C used to be my producer. He was an amazing guy. God, I wish I could work with him still. He was so cool. The beats that he would make were phenomenal. I used to love it, man. I would spend hours in that studio with him, just get stoned and try to put down some music. The world we live in today is a shadow compared to what it used to be, as far as how much effort and pride people put into things. And, in today's day and age, it's like, if I see you barely trying, I'm giving you like a super high thumbs up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, high five, man. You're doing good. Back in the day, you had to put in effort. There was no, what do they call it? You just showing up, getting a trophy.
Incentive. Yeah. You had you had the participation trophies.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Do it real.
We never had that crap growing up. Never.
You had to put in the serious
They made
work.
you know you're a loser.
Yeah, every time, and would literally rub it in your face.
Yeah,
like, you suck. That's probably why we're all sociopaths now. It's glutton for punishment.
But everybody's good at something, and everybody's going to have weaknesses on several things, and that's true for anything in life.
And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of us feel that we're good enough. I think a lot of times we get to this point where we just want to say, man, I'm not good enough for this, or this, but you are. You're definitely good enough. And sometimes people will make you feel less, and I'm just trying to tell you're more than what you expect, and you can be more than what you even believe right now. It might be hard to believe that, but it gets wild.
Bringing positivity to the masses.
I try. And I mean, sometimes that's difficult though.
No, it is, because I think the majority of people today are very depressed compared to, our grandparents' timeline. I mean, but the thing is that in our grandparents' timeline, people had a lot of things to be proud of and look back on and achieve. And today it's like everything's yanked from you, But that goes with what we were talking about today. So there's historical truths that from an outside perspective, when I think of like what my grandfather had to go through, what your grandfather had to go through, it was hard work for them, because they were probably getting physically beat by their fathers. Because back then it wasn't, it wasn't uncommon to just get your teeth knocked out for anything. Like, it could just be anything. Because you got beat. My grandfather told me stories one time about how it was a custom. I've never heard this before, but it's a custom that if you leave a bunch of sticks wrapped up with a rope on somebody's porch, it meant that the man of the household needs to stop beating his woman. And I'd never heard that. Wow. And my grandfather told me that there was a guy that was down the street that was known for beating his woman. And a couple of the men in the area did this. They took sticks and they put a rope around it, and they'd leave it on his porch, and he didn't get the message. And I remember interrupting my granddad, and I'm like
saying, we're going to beat you with these
if you don't stop it. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't get it.
I respect it.
But he told me, he said, yeah, that guy didn't get it. And he said, one day, a bunch of us boys after high school, we ended up kicking the crap out of him. And he said that his best friend took that girl to the prom that year. And I was like, that's gangster.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome.
That's gangster, man.
Now, see, that's another thing I was going to say. Okay, so you see how he said, a bunch of us boys got together and handled out they dished out the justice at that point.
Yeah.
That's what we're missing horribly right now.
Well, sometimes, yeah, okay, so I say this all the time. Sometimes violence solves everything.
It really can.
And it can. You don't want to be too aggressive in certain situations, but
correctly.
Yes.
If my friends or family seen me back in the day and they would have seen the dumb, horrific crap that I was doing, I would have hoped that they would have come to me and said, hey, listen, you're messing up. We'd like you to get back on this page to get over here because this is something we see positive in you that you could be this over here. I wouldn't want them to come in and just whoop my ass, but at the same time, if it's going to benefit me to be better than what I am, then by all means, come up and tell me I'm in the wrong. And I don't think we have that going on right now. And
well, it also depends, again, on the birds of a feather. See, I can think of a couple times when my grandfather scolded me over some things when I was real young. Mm-hmm. And even my dad was very harsh on punishment. He was. But I would run to my friends. I didn't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You'd be that rebellious teenager, and you just want to go out and have fun and do stupid stuff. I don't think I was as bad as I could have been, though, as a teenager when I look back on it.
No, not at all.
But I hung around some really messed up people. I hung around a large crowd that they were all doing stupid stuff. We hung around a lot of runaways too. And we hung around a lot of people that quit school. Which
made it real hard for me to keep going to school when I'm seeing them living the cushiony life of just not going to school. And I'm
yes.
Go to school tomorrow.
Yes. And there was, I'm not going to name any names, but there was one girl that we hung out with and we were all friends with. And I heard later on that, she hung out with some other boys that we knew. We didn't necessarily hang out with those boys, but I heard that she was gang raped by a bunch of them. And I felt horrible over her. And I was like, man, I can't believe that happened to her. And
it sucks. You want to be able to protect those people.
Yeah, I never heard about it in my senior year of high school, but it happened. And
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, damn, man, that
the fact that
that stuff is it's crazy.
The fact that it's 2024 and people are still doing that idiot stuff, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's getting more and more frequent. I don't think it's as bad as what it was back in the day, but it's definitely still running rampant. Sexual assaults and
it goes both ways nowadays.
Nowadays,
shit.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, that's one of those you just want to just scream at the top of your lungs. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, there was a famous story a couple years ago about a guy that broke into a woman's house in Russia. And she tied this dude up, beat him down, and then kept him in her house.
The other way.
Yeah, she kept him in the house.
That went the other way. Okay.
She beat him up and tied him up. And
I respect that.
She tied him up to the bed, though, and she used him in all kinds of sexual ways for a week. And he finally got out, and it made the story and headlines. She ended up going to prison, but everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny." And she was.
It kind of does.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that sad though that that if we gender flip it,
it's not held the same.
I mean, because every guy's like, "Oh yeah, that's the dream," but at the same time,
high five, yeah. But it's not.
At the same time, it's really not. But she gave this guy Viagra pills, and she would do everything she could to get him ready, and as a man, you would know you can't always keep telling yourself no that.
Mind is willing, the body is weak. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's
But yeah, that made news a while back. That was about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. But
God, we are living in a weird
all kinds
spot.
of ways.
I swear, I honestly sometimes cringe at the thought of just, are we living in hell, or is this a reality? Because it feels like everything that's in your mind can transform into something worse or better. And it feels like you might be thinking of something today, and I swear to you, tomorrow it shows itself in your everyday thing. Like,
yeah,
it happens to me like every other day, I swear. Like, I'll be thinking of something, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll be thinking about it. I won't even say it to nobody. And then the very next day, it'll be like, poof, it'll just show up in my, like, what the? I was just thinking about that. Like, are you guys listening to me? Like,
yeah, that's manifest. As long as it's not like you talking around your phone, that would be manifesting. Like, there's people that'll think of like a long lost friend or an ex, and then all of a sudden they show up.
They just show up, right?
Yeah, that does stuff. That stuff happens. There's
weird.
no coincidences.
Yeah.
So then the argument is, were you intuitive and you knew that you were going to run into them and you thought of them, or was it you manifested and you somehow got them to show up? You know.
That's a good question.
One of the weirdest things that happened to me is I ran into somebody that was literally talking about me that hadn't seen me in 15 years, and they were in a Walmart parking lot, and I pulled up next to them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's you!" And they ran up and gave me a hug and everything, and they were like, "I was just talking about you," and they hadn't seen me in 15 years.
That's awesome.
And I was like, "What?"
Okay,
it was
cool.
Weird.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those moments a lot.
Yeah.
Back to what we were saying though, like, when we were kids, we were held to a certain standard of, like, you had elites that you followed, right? Like, you know, like, he used to be the, like, for most intensive purposes, for whatever it was that we were doing, he was one of the leaders of our group.
Yeah.
So
all the bad stuff's on me, guys.
Yeah, it was all his fault. No, but
I think that's because I was a little bit older than you all. Like,
by 3 years.
I was older than everybody I can think, even Eddie. Yeah.
But see, what makes me laugh though is because you kind of held our group together as far as we were bad and we wanted to do bad stuff, but for the most part, he held us down to, like, let's ease it down, guys. We don't need to go overboard like every 5 seconds.
Honestly, I would think, was my grandfather going to do?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
He's going to beat my ass.
But this goes to exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm just being honest.
Doesn't matter.
But I done a lot of dumb stuff. I did. I done a lot of dumb stuff.
But I mean, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what group you're in. You're going to have some people in your group that are going to try to get out of line.
Yeah.
You got to have leaders that are going to say, "Hey, look, you guys are getting a little too much. You're doing a little too much. Can we pull it back some?" And I think for your grandpa and my grandpa, I'm pretty sure that they had the same thing. Like,
oh yeah. I'm sure they did.
They wouldn't probably let somebody join the group unless they vetted them like 100% on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, you had to be a certain quality of person to even, like, be able to join some of these groups back in the day.
Yep.
Like, when I was in Boy Scouts, I want to say I was probably one of the worst scouts there, as far as I always just wanted to make a joke out of everything. Growing up, I was always joking. I was always like, "Oh, look at this toy that I got." I didn't think about, like, how to tie a sheep shank or, like.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of bullying in the Scouts too, man. There was a shit ton.
And there's a ton of times where it's like you had to set an example for how you wanted others to be in your group, you know? So, like, some of the time these guys were hard. Like, they didn't care. Like, they'd beat you up if you weren't pulling your weight, like you weren't doing the things you were supposed to do. They'd whoop you. And I don't feel like we're doing that nowadays. Like, we're
there's a joke, there's a meme that says we need to bring back bullying in schools because all the stupid shit that goes on in schools today.
A little bit. I mean, a little bit of bullying makes you kind of tougher, but kind of like, it makes you at a point you're like, I'm going to show this asshole that I'm better than what he's trying to, like, promote. You know what I mean? Like, so
Well, I think the reason they stopped the bullying is because in the early 90s, there was all this gun violence and kids bringing guns to school.
Yeah.
And
But I mean, even in our high school, we had plenty of kids that would drive trucks to school, and their guns would be sitting right in the back of their truck, but nobody got shot ever.
Yep.
So we never had a school shooting when we were.
Now there was 2 times I know of that people brought a gun to school, and my brother actually did that once. Sean, he brought a gun to school one time, and I was horrified when I found out about it, and he talked himself out of using it, but he was being bullied by a certain guy there one time that was really pushing on him, and I had no idea. And I was a senior, and at the time, I think he was a freshman. I think he was either a freshman or a sophomore when I was a senior, and I knew that the dude that was bullying him, and I could have stopped it. It was that Jason Ratcliffe, if you remember him. Jason Ratcliffe was bullying my brother bad, and
he actually became a really nice dude. Like,
and I never would have thought he was bullying anybody, man. Because like I had classes with him.
Yeah,
like
high school.
He seemed pretty cool.
He seemed really cool.
Yeah,
so,
but
I never had any problem.
Apparently, he was bullying my brother really bad, and at one point, my brother brought a gun to school, and I know another guy that brought a gun to school, and but they never used them. So
thankfully, I never got to that level. I got my butt whooped quite a bit, but I gave just as much as I got, so I got lucky on that part. But I had
we were saying this over dinner. I was saying I've been in more fights though as an adult.
Yeah.
I have. I've been in,
same.
Man, I'm telling you.
I mean, I've been a bouncer, security. I've done all these weird jobs that required me to be violent, and I always used violence as kind of like my paintbrush. Like I would, you paint when you need to paint.
Yeah.
You don't just
Mike's a big guy here. I mean, I'm sitting back from him, but he's a bigger guy.
You don't see it on video. But
what are you? You're like 6'7" or 6. What are you? 6'5"? I don't know.
6 infinity. I don't know.
You're up there, man.
I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird. I think we're at a point in time where I think there needs to be more leaders and more people that are willing to take the chance to do something better for the people that are around them, their group. And I think we need to vet a lot of our groups a lot better to stop, get to know the people that are trying to join the groups that you're being in. I mean, you've got to figure out who's going to be a source of trouble for you and your group later on in the future, because you never know nowadays. People are just weird, and everybody wants to grab a gun nowadays. It's so ridiculous.
We were talking about that earlier, how cowardly that is.
It's
like
so
that
cowardly.
guy that stabbed that other guy. Like anytime that you're using a weapon on another guy that's unarmed, I mean, there's no sense in that. Beat the shit out of him, okay, but I mean,
I have carried a knife with me every day since I was a kid, and
that's true, yeah.
And I've never went out of my way to stab anybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a friend over in Hawaii. We used to train.
No, wait a minute. Except for that one time you sliced my arm.
Okay, so that was different though. I
got the scars still.
I cut him on accident, and I thought
it was my fault.
Jesus,
though.
That's hilarious.
It was my fault. Like he was going over a martial art move, and I was wearing a long sleeve shirt. I remember this like it was yesterday.
That's all bad.
And I was telling him you can't do that, and he was like, "No, yeah, I can." And like, so he does it, but I got long sleeve shirt on, and he's like with the knife.
But my knife was,
and I remember
extremely sharp.
I'm like, and I felt like it wasn't a. I don't know. I felt like a burn, and I lifted up my shirt, and dude, my arm way up here was like cut
so bad.
And his eyes were like real big. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry."
Dude,
I wasn't even mad. I was like real calm. I was like, "Man, we're gonna have to go to the hospital."
It was worse for me than it was for him. Like,
because my brother was a dick
freaked
to you.
Out, and he.
You remember my brother? My brother was telling you I was dying.
Your brother was like, "He's gonna die, and I get his PlayStation." Oh my god! Like, I just killed somebody. I'm freaking out. Like, it was so bad because it's on the wrist.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood.
It was on the wrist. And when you see movies, you see them cut wrists. You just think they're going to die. So I was a kid. And Yeah. So, my whole life.
It was a little above the wrist. But, yeah, I mean, like, I still have it. It's right through here. It's just hard to see.
It was a bad cut.
Yeah. I had to have my tendons like reconnected, and like some of my veins and like stitches. But I was never mad at you, dude.
No.
I even lied to my mom because I had this.
It was a big.
That big nagata.
Yeah. The nagata. You said, "Oh man."
So I had this big Japanese axe spear thing. It's a naginata, and I had it in my closet because I collected all kinds of weapons. And I lied to my mom and said I was cleaning my closet. That should have gave it away. Like what teenager was cleaning the room?
I was cleaning out my closet.
I was cleaning out my closet, and it came down and whack.
Yeah.
That's what I told her.
God,
but years later, I told her what really happened, and she was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, I was freaking out, dude. I literally sat there miserable.
I didn't want you in trouble, man. No, I wasn't mad at you.
It was so bad.
I got full movement. Like for a while though, I could not move. It was I think it was it would be the ring finger on that.
I still can't. I opened.
I'm just giving you a hard time. You said you never stabbed anybody. I'm like, wait, you sliced me.
I opened up a sword and went to close the sword, and the scabbard got stuck on the blade, so my hand went down the blade. And I cut my pinky so bad that still to this day, when I close my hand, I can't close that pinky. Like the tip doesn't, it won't bend. It's just dead there.
Oh, man.
So when I make a fist, I have to close it with my other finger and then unclose it. And I'm used to doing it so quick that it doesn't even, like, it's like this finger.
Isn't it weird how the human body will
adapt and change your, like, it's so weird. Because if I grab something, like, there's times where I'll grab something and my pinky just sticks out there. It literally
John
like
Cazares, with all his stuff, he couldn't do that with his left hand either. So what he would do is he could not open his hand. Mm-hmm. He could close it, but he couldn't open it. Yeah. So what he would do is, like, he would do martial arts. He would run his hand down somebody's arm and use their arm to open their fingers. And then he'd run it down to their wrist, and then he could close. Yeah. It was like, and he used to show us that and point that out. But if you held his fingers, he couldn't open it. There's no way he could open it. So you'd catch him all the time at dinner. If his hand was shut, he'd use his other hand to open like that to keep it open, and then he could grab a spoon or whatever. Yeah, but that was his left hand, and that was after he had a shoulder operation later.
But
we adapt to things, man.
It's so weird how the human body does that. I have, like I said, even right now, like even just sitting here, I always carry a knife. Like it's like everywhere. Like everywhere I go, there's a knife with me at all times. I have never went out of my way to stab anybody with it ever. And
but it's a good thing to have. I mean, you can do a million things with a knife. It's a tool.
And I had a.
But if you had a lightsaber, I'd say that too. I'd be like,
I would definitely.
That's the Jedi code.
This is kind of a lightsaber. It's a small lightsaber in my pocket. Yeah. No, I had a friend that I used to train with in Hawaii. We would take students to the park and we would train there because it's a place where you could possibly get into a fight. And he studied Kung Fu, and his thing was the sword. He loved and adored his sword. Now, mind you, this guy was amazing with this sword. Like
I've noticed a lot of Kung Fu guys are always looking for a fight.
He was bad. Like you would not want to fight with this guy with that sword. Like, I mean, I'm pretty good at what I do, and I wouldn't want no parts of this guy. And I guess just a few years back, like it's been maybe 2 years now, he cut a guy's arm off in a 7-Eleven parking lot. Yep. Like, and I'm.
Did he beat him with it though? That's what mattered.
I'm so sad.
I mean, no, I'm kidding.
So what happened was the guy, I guess, and I don't know to this story. This is just what I have heard from my friends who were there. The guy who came into the store was stealing, and my buddy, the one that I trained with, was the clerk or the attendant there, and he brought his sword with him on his backpack anywhere he went. Because after he got off of work, he would go over to the park and he would train around. He got into an argument with this guy. The guy, I guess, pulled some kind of weapon on him and said, "I will meet you outside later on." And he said, "No, we're not doing later on." And he went to his backpack. He pulled his sword out.
All right, that's justified.
Right, that's what I said. But he pulled his sword out. They went outside. A scuffle ensued. And he was always the type to not use a weapon. Like, he didn't need to use a weapon. He was a really good fighter. And it's weird to me. He must have really disliked this person because it's like, I trained with him for years.
Most of them will use the backside and whack you with it.
I trained with him for years. He was so good without that weapon. There's no reason I could see him doing that. He cut this guy's hand right off, like straight from right here at the wrist. He took the hand clean off. In Hawaii, they took pictures of this and they blew it up on the news. Local man cuts.
Well, Hawaii's bad though for knife fights and machetes. Yeah.
Local man cuts man's arm off, and Yeah, he's in a California prison right now, awaiting sentence, and I
Damn.
guess I don't think he's going to see the sunshine for a while, and that
Yeah.
sucks, man, because his
See,
name was
when
Ruckus, and he was amazing. When I say that dude was amazing, he was probably one of the best martial arts I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know why he would even do that, because like when I was trained with the sword, we would always use the back end of it if they're unarmed.
And trust me,
And you whack somebody on the arm and the muscle, and you get them, you'll Charlie horse the shit out of them.
he knew pressure points. He knew the different katas that go with his sword techniques. Like, he knew every single aspect of that sword. He had been doing it for 30-some years.
Maybe he snapped that day. I don't know.
That's what I said. I was like, you never know what's going through somebody's head. For me, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I'm not going to stab somebody with my knife, because I know that in my mind, that's not the right thing to do. I'm a really good fighter. I can fight without it. But like I said, I've had plenty of fights. I have my knife in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I've had, probably 20 fights, and I've never went out of my way to go, let me grab my knife. Like, it's never come out in a fight, ever. Like, I just punch. And,
I can tell you probably the reason why he went to prison, though, is because the other guy did not pull the actual weapon out and aim at him or whatever.
Somebody took this is just from what I hear, somebody opened the hand and took a weapon out of the hand, and it was laying on the ground, and they left the hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was a weapon in the hand.
Well, then that's different.
One of his friends took whatever he was clutching out of his hand, so he didn't get in trouble for it. So yeah, so it was like, I don't know, man. It's a weird story.
So wait, the guy that cut his arm off did or didn't get in trouble? I thought you said he went to prison.
Yeah, he went to prison. My buddy went to prison.
Oh,
the guy who cut the arm off went to prison.
Okay.
And he was the hero of the day, but yet,
yeah, that's weird, man.
You're not a hero,
because in my mind frame, that other guy is threatening him first, unless there was some kind of reason to think that.
And he was stealing from the store, but that doesn't matter because, you're not a hero because you stop somebody from stealing.
That's true.
And as a hero, you're supposed to, like, not cut the guy's arm off. Like, basically,
He should have used the back end of it. Whack.
He should have left it in the scabbard. Like, I don't understand. Like, he didn't have to.
He didn't even have to do that. If the guy had a knife.
Avid with using it in the scabbard.
Well,
that was his thing. Like, he would practice around at the park with.
Maybe he's curious.
Yeah,
I want to see what it looks like and feels like.
It kind of makes me wonder if he didn't know that it came out of the scabbard. Nah, because he was too good. Like I said, he knew what he was doing, and that makes it.
We
worse.
had a guy
that makes it worse though.
We had a guy in our jiu-jitsu class use freaking hedge clippers for a bush against his neighbor, and he cut his neighbor real bad on the shoulder.
And that's probably...
And he went to jail for it, Yeah, we had a guy do that. But
you don't need a weapon. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, these people nowadays, to get their point across, nobody wants to take an ass whooping. Nobody wants to be the person to say, I was wrong. Maybe we can, walk past this or walk this back. It's like, when I teach martial arts, I teach my students that your first superpower in all of this is your awareness. And your second power in this is that you can walk away.
Yeah.
You've got to look at all this space that's around you and just think about it. Breathe that in. You can walk away.
Yep.
You can take a breath and walk away. You get all these people that have road rage and they're just running out here wanting to shoot somebody. Like, you don't need to do that.
When you walk into a room, the first thing you should do is look for the exit points, and then the second thing you should do is look for anything in the room that can be used for a weapon.
Yep.
And that's including the chairs, the freaking napkin, the forks, the spoons,
you can tell
the edge of a table, whether it's
tell we trained under the same master. It's
if the edge of the table is a corner, I'm
using that.
Yeah, you can end somebody's life that way. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
it gets so bad nowadays. Yeah. It's just, and we're at a point where people think that they're in the right. They really believe that they're in the right of what they're doing. You'll have people that'll be doing stupid stuff, and they'll be like, "I was justified by doing it." And I don't think I don't think that there's a justification for some of this stuff. There's no justification for being an idiot.
Yeah, that's true.
My friend, no matter how badass I think he was, I think that day he was being an idiot. There's no justification for it. So
yeah. I don't know. They must have not had. They probably had other people as witnesses that didn't side with him or something, or the other person had a really good lawyer.
It sucks because like I said, he was a local hero. I promise you, that dude had saved more people on that island than he'd ever hurt anyone. And this was just the first time like that I know of that he ever would use that weapon. And he took the man's arm. He took his whole hand off. I don't know if the guy got it back. Like, as far as, I don't think so. I don't think you could put it back, but that was a really sharp sword. So maybe. But yeah, you can look it up. A local man cuts guy's arm off. That was my friend. It's crazy.
And it was in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was Hawaii.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. This is the world we live in today. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's at a point where nowadays people will just shoot you rather than to talk to you. So make sure whatever you're doing out there, make sure that you are just trying to be respectful, that you're trying to be humble, and that people see you as the good person that you're trying to be and not the gimmicky crap that you want people to see. Like, just be yourself. Just have a good time.
Yep.
I see it far too often. Too many people want to step out of the way and be claimed as something they're not. I'm the toughest guy ever. Like, just, I'm a badass. Like, no, you're...
You know, every guy that I know that was tough never bragged like that.
Never bragged like
Even
that.
Mike Tyson, you know, most people that met Mike Tyson, he always talked about the fights.
Super sweet before
Yeah.
the fight.
Yeah,
like,
he always talked
before
about the
fight,
fights he lost, or he talked about another fighter. He bragged about another fighter.
Now, before the fight, he would be like, I'm gonna tear your head off. Your head's coming off your shoulders. Like, but then after the fight, he was like, you're just the sweetest man. I really liked him. He was a really good fighter. Like, he didn't.
What do you? Speaking of Mike, what do you think about this craziness with this fight and him and Jake Paul?
I think that this is a quick way for Mr. Tyson to make quite a significant amount of money. That's what I think, and I don't think that he's taking this serious at all. Did you see the where the weigh-in where they had to stand in front of each other?
I seen several things
Jake
where they were
Paul was giving him the eyes. Jake Paul was in the. He was in the eyes. Like, he was serious. Like, you could see in his face. He was like, I'm going to kill this old man.
I seen where the
and
media
then Tyson
guy
was like,
yep.
It's a Tuesday for him. He doesn't care. Like,
well, the thing that people don't realize is even though Tyson is built different and he's a beast, he does say that he was like 8 or 9 years outside of box training.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but his videos, he's scary looking.
Yeah, all of that came back to him.
Yeah, it came back.
All he needed was a little fuel to the fire. Yep. That's an old man that will hurt you. Like, if Jake is not ready, he's gonna learn real quick. Yeah, he might need.
But
to keep
before this fight, you know, Tyson actually took up for Jake on several of his other fights.
I think he's a good fighter. I think Jake Paul is
I was pretty amazed.
Really good fighter. And
I think it's the way Jake is built. I think that he's one of those humans out there that is just physically tougher than a normal person. There's some people that you can beat in the face all day long and they're laughing at you, dude. They're wired different. They straight up are. And I think that Jake has lived a life of being a troll to a point where he has become the troll.
Yeah. What is that? If you're going to be stupid, you got to be tough. Like, that's how that is.
But now Jake is very muscular. But I mean, I'm rooting for Tyson all the way. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
I don't want Jake to win. If Jake won, I would be upset. I'm straight up telling you. But
so for all that I've seen, he keeps trying to pick fights with like older men, which is to me, I don't mind that because with age comes understanding of your craft. Like, these are like master level people. It's not just some, old man off the street that he's fighting. These are top tier people that he is picking fights with.
Well, Tyson's a legend though, too.
Yeah, every person
so it's reputation.
Yeah, he's been fighting,
And if he does it right, even if he loses or when he loses, if he does it right, he can still sell that. He'd be like, I got in the ring with Tyson. Yeah. Did you?
Exactly.
What man can say that? Exactly. No.
I don't want to hit by Tyson. That's all I'm saying.
But Jake did put out a thing saying to a media guy, I was going to tell you, I watched a thing where he told a media guy, somebody in the news, that he was going to go into the current heavyweight boxing championship to fight for that after this Tyson fight. So
I could see it happening. Maybe this is a way.
But
maybe this is a way for him to get his credit up, and people will see him as better fighter.
Yeah, because he's been a clown on the internet for ages.
I just don't think he keeps picking people that are either out of their prime or people that don't really want to fight anymore, but will fight just because you've called them out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
I would like to see him fight someone in his own weight class, but somebody who is a literal
He's a big
professional
guy,
boxer.
though. He is. He's a big guy.
Fine. I think he'd do fine, but it's just I want to see that from him. I want to see him pick the fights that are actually going to be difficult for him, not like, somebody who's like older and not in their prime. Like you're basically fighting on somebody who just you can tell from Tyson he just doesn't want it like that. He's gonna fight because it's.
I think
Tyson.
that when he gets in the ring, I think Tyson will snap and go back into that and just be beast mode. I will
for a few
like
seconds.
he may be humble at first, but I think he'll snap because at some point he's going to realize this young dude is trying to ruin his reputation.
Yeah, you're not
and kind of using him as a gimmick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And even though they are friends, they've said they're friends, but I think Tyson will snap, and I think that. I don't think that Jake could match that aggression level.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well, we will.
But I do think Jake can take hits, though. I do.
Yeah, I definitely think he can. And pretty much the style that I've seen him use is pretty evasive. It's like,
Yeah, it's like a peekaboo.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson was known for that, too.
Tyson is known for his peekaboo, so it's like, let's see
if you look up on YouTube, Tyson and peekabooing, they show that one of the it's not one of the reasons, but one of the things that made him so famous is a lot of the other boxers in his early career never used that style, and he did. And they show how impressive he is. People think of Tyson with his hitting power and his aggressiveness, but dude, he's like dodging stuff like the Matrix.
Most of the people that he fought,
Yeah.
they were always like a foot taller than him for the most part, and he had to literally lean his way in to get past their
and
shot.
he was a poor kid growing up and a poor young man growing up, and so he
God
knew,
forbid
man, this is his
hurts-
profession.
God forbid anybody hurts one of his pigeons. Oh, you're dead. Like, you're dead. Like, he was mean to my pigeon, so I tore his head off.
But I like Mike. I've seen a lot of his stuff
amazing.
where he's like a guru of knowledge now.
He really is.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how much knowledge he had. I mean,
Yeah.
he got to train with, what was it, Gus? What was the guy's name? Gus?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but
legendary boxer trainer.
Yeah.
Like, man.
But I'm
Sigmato
talking
or
about
something.
I'm talking about him being a guru on the spiritual things. Like, have you seen some of his
he's been
videos?
really good. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy how much stuff that he knows.
Yeah.
Like, it's out there.
Yeah.
He even has like okay, so this one's kind of funny. He actually has his own line of gummies. Did you see that?
Gummies, like
Gummy edible
THC?
gummies.
Oh my god, no, I
They're
didn't see
shaped
that.
like little ears.
Oh,
I swear.
that's wrong. Who came up with that?
Oh man, it's so funny, dude. Like, he gave them to the guy.
So, do you know the story though of when he bit the ear though? He was on cocaine and he admits that.
Yeah,
like,
well, he went animalistic. He was getting his ass beat. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy was a beast, and he was literally losing a fight. And
Yeah,
he
it was
wasn't
George
expecting
Floyd,
it.
wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. I think it was George Floyd. I think that's who he bit. I can't remember. Man, it's been a while, but I think it was George Floyd.
No, George Foreman was the one.
Or Foreman, I'm sorry.
Foreman was
yeah.
the one that fought Muhammad Ali, I think, and then.
But Tyson fought him later. Yeah.
No, I think the one that Tyson got was Holyfield. I think
Maybe it
that's
was
the one.
Holyfield. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Holyfield, and he bit his ear off down at the bottom, and I swear to you, the little gummies are the little shape of the thing that he bit off, and they're called Tyson's ears.
That's just wrong.
Or something like that. And
That's funny, but
I thought that was hilarious. He actually gave them to Holyfield and was like, "Here, I want you to try my gummies."
Oh
like,
my
I'm
God.
I'm dying. This man is
Oh
a
my
clown.
God.
He's too funny.
you know how cool you have to be to
Right?
sit
That's
there
what
and
I'm
like,
saying. to relive that, to be
yeah,
like,
especially
I
if
just
you're the
want you to-
victim in that, and you're
Yeah.
like, man, I boxed this dude and he bit my ear off.
And he's giving me my ears back.
Yeah.
This man's really getting famous and paid off of my ears right now.
Well, this all goes back though to
That's
like
funny.
that Jordan Peterson thing where he was saying that in order to be a proper man, you got to be a monster, you got to be violent.
Dude.
That's you start off that way. He also says,
But what he does say, I will say, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're
what he does say is he says you need to have that in check.
yeah,
You
you
have that power.
Yep.
You have that rage inside of you, but
Yeah.
you need
Have it
to
in
have
check.
it in check. Like, that's what makes you the monster that people will love.
Yeah, and he also says there's a famous quote that he repeat. I don't remember who said it, but it's better to be a warrior on a farm and learning how to
farmer in a
farm
war.
than to be a farmer in a war,
Yeah, it's
because
true.
the farmer's going to get people killed. You're going to make mistakes.
Very, very true.
Yeah, and the warrior on the farmland
It's still at the end
they
of
got
the
time
day.
to learn.
Yeah. Still,
You
at the
know.
end of the day, he's a warrior.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And he
agree.
can handle his business.
I agree. Like, I've given up most of like lately just being an adult. You know, I'm 43 now, and as being an adult, my cast for violence has just, I don't need it like that. Like, I still have it in the back of my head that's there in case I need it, but for the most part, you know, I try to use my words. I try to speak, and I try to like communicate better.
Yeah.
I think my biggest, like I said, my biggest superpower though is understanding my surroundings and really just not getting in the fight at the beginning.
Yep.
Like, just
There's some
learning
people
how
you
to-
can't do that with.
Yeah,
Though.
some
You can't
people
de-escalate.
Yeah, some people
But I know
will.
what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. There's some goofballs, man.
Some people, it's just as easy as just making a joke. Like, just like when they're getting serious, I just laugh and give them an opportunity out. Like, if you can give somebody an opportunity out, most times they'll take it, because most people really don't want. They really don't want that. They just want to feel like they're powerful. They want to feel like you're paying attention to them, and that you know. They want that credit without earning it, to be honest.
And a lot of guys that run their mouth and they talk big and bad and they huff and puff around. That they don't really even know how to fight. They want to fight, but they don't know how.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
they just
true.
want that fear.
They want that fear. That's what
they're
I'm
using
saying.
that
They
fear,
definitely
yeah.
do. They just want that respect before it's earned.
Yep.
And that sucks, because it's like you have to earn respect. But a quick way of earning respect is just not getting in the fight to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? If you're a respectful person, I promise you, I'm gonna respect you just for being, you know, a good dude. And I think more people need that. Like, especially like all the people I was training with, UFC fighters, and all the people that I've trained with, they've all been killers, but they were always super nice. Like, they are funny, dude. They are funny. When you roll with a person on the mats, they are hilarious. They're telling jokes in your ear as they're putting you in horrible positions. Like, yeah, you're screwed. Yeah, it's over. Like, just go ahead and tap. Yep, I'm your daddy now. Like, this, these are jokes that, you know, they're funny, man. That shit's funny.
Yeah, a lot of people are down to earth though, man. Like, I've met a couple of people that were involved in UFC and celebrities.
I got lucky, and
they're all down to earth, most of them.
I got to roll with a guy named Falaloto over in Hawaii, and this dude was a beast. And you know, all the training we do, and like through John and all that stuff. Like, dude, finger locks wouldn't work on him. Arm bars wouldn't work on him. Leg locks wouldn't work on him.
Is it like when you get him, you mean?
Yeah, physically, he just had an exit for everything.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, I was going to say, no,
his physical knowledge.
I promise you they'll work.
Yeah, they work, but I mean, just not on these guys. Like, these guys they're just built different.
Yeah, if they have an exit, that's different.
They know the exits of everything.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, that's what John excelled at, was the
amazing.
counter to the counter.
Counter to the
he
counter.
He would counter. And most people are only working on the application of the attack and the counter, whereas we would work on the counter and then the counter to the counter, then the counter to the counter to counter. Yeah.
That was the thing. So I thought when I was going into it, you know, me and my buddy Angelo, we'd go down there, and he was like, I want to introduce you to somebody. So he introduced me to this guy named Follow. And Follow was, shout out to you, Follow, if you're ever watching this. He was a beast. Like, we rolled, and I just knew that I had him done. Like, and no, I'm not gonna lie, I got him in a few good shots where it was, you know, he was getting choked. But like, no, man, this dude was a beast, and he was playing. You could tell he was playing with me, like, because, you know, this is UFC fighters. Like, this ain't no jokey joke stuff. He went on to be a professional fighter, and God, this dude was built different, man. He was like a little, you know, those like stone-hinged dudes, the Easter Island egg.
Yeah.
He had a head like this. It was like built different.
Now, you just told him if he's watching.
Yes, I hope he's watching. He'll know what I'm talking about too, man. His dude is a beast. He is like literally made out of concrete. Like, the dude was hilarious.
Well, for years, man, I still do it to this day. I'll do push-ups on my wrist with my wrist bent. So that I'm learning to take that joint lock. Yeah, this guy. And I've been in Aikido classes where dudes can't even tap me out, and I'm like, no, do it harder. And they're like, I don't want to break your arm. I'm like, no, you're not going to.
I ended up giving him this awesome book. I bought this book on, you know, it was like judo locks and different things like that, and he went on to use that thing so amazingly. Yeah, like, he went on to be a really good fighter. Like, I mean, I really respected the hell out of that guy, because I went down there expecting that I was just going to just roll right through these people. To be honest, like. I didn't meet anybody over there in Hawaii that really had the same passion for fighting that I did, like as far as the technical side of it. And getting to that gym was the first time. Like I got to work with Sean Shark, I think was his name, BJ Penn, some really good fighters, like technical fighters that are just amazing. But their style of fighting and my style of fighting, we were totally different.
Yeah.
Like I'm a really
But that's what's
good
fun, man. You always
striker.
learn how somebody else on the other side
Yeah.
trains and sees things. And
But God, they were all good dudes, man.
Yeah.
So fun. It was so fun. Like you'd roll with them, they'd kick off in your ass, and then they'd be like, "Hey, brother!" Like and it was so, so cool.
I started studying other styles and stuff, and I'd get to the point where I'd see them walk and just how they were fighting, and I could tell you what system,
and,
just from how their stance was.
Same.
Like, I mean, and the other thing is, like, I would remember things too if I saw them doing competition fighting or things. One day they'd be like, "Oh, my shoulder's hurting." I'd remember that shit for 9 years, dude. In case I ever had to fight him. Yep.
Gonna have to.
I would remember that. I would remember that for the rest of my life.
Did you ever remember? Have you seen any of the weird McDojo life? It's called McDojo.
I know what McDojo's it. Yeah. There's a whole.
It's hilarious. And
there's bullshit, Shido and all that.
And
yeah.
the McDojo. I really, really want to do something like that where we critique just the.
I'd piss off everybody. Yeah.
But no, not.
I'm not really in martial arts anymore. I'm more on the Torah thing, but I mean, I still do the kung fu
not
here
that
and there.
kind of way. But I mean, I think that like people need to know what a good master versus a fake Bushido.
They'll never know, and I'll tell you why. Because if you train somebody properly today, your ass is sued. If you start hitting your students, if you like,
true.
dude, like what
John kind of had us as killers.
What
so
martial arts school
true.
do you even know where somebody is like training and they have another student, even medium, just hitting them in the chest, over and over and over and over, or they're doing a real choke out, and the dude passes out, and you got to lift him up, and you got to sit there and pat him on the back. You got to lift his head up. And you're like, breathe, dude, breathe.
Yeah.
Like it, even in these these BJJ places. What is it? Ground Zero. Like me and my brother went up to Ground Zero all the time, and we rolled that place over. Man, they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah,
they're a joke.
You would have loved.
They really are.
You would have loved it out in Hawaii, man. BJ Penn, his gym was amazing. Like they do really good rolls. Like that's what they do all day. Like their whole thing is just. But see, I don't like fighting somebody who just scoots on their butt.
No, I hate that. That's what
that's
Ground Zero does. They're like, "Oh, you want to fight me? Okay," and they get on their butt and they start scooting at you, and I'm like, "What are you doing, dude? Do you know how many? Like, I can kick you in the teeth right now. That's not allowed."
Yeah, I know. It's like it bugs me a little.
We're
bit.
talking about the street, dude. I'll just stomp your.
But see, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. This is the bullshito way that they've got going right now. Is just
the guy up here in Huntington that runs it. His name's Clinton, and he threw a fit because he was doing that. He was crawling towards me. I know what he's doing. He's on his butt.
For a leg lock and
no, he wants to wrap. He wants me. He wants to wrap and then
ground. Right.
So what's the closest thing to me? His ankles. I stepped on his ankles, dude,
right,
and I lifted my other one up and I lightly stomped. And I was like, dude, right there, it'd be game over. I don't care who you are. If we're on a cement, I don't care if it's the sound and there's a little bit of cushion. We're on the grass.
You take one of those down. You take one of those down kicks or anything around there. That's gonna hurt, man. You're gonna feel that.
Yeah, I'd break somebody's ankle easy. I mean, especially if I did it full force out in real life.
Personally, I can't see somebody doing that in real life. Like you get on the ground in real life, and 3 or 4 of their buddies are just going to start to stomp you. Like,
yes.
It's like, you did the
and they're not taking into account there's glass on the ground, there's pebbles.
Their friends that are around them. They just
well, I'm not even talking about the friend. Yeah, I mean, not only are they going to look stupid, and everything's got cameras today. Everybody's like world star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you won the fight, you'd be laughed at.
Yeah. Dude was doing a diaper stroll over here. I don't know. There's like a snail trail behind him. I don't know what he was doing. It's all.
Yeah, my brother went up there one time, and he was saying that, dude, their sparring equipment when he went up there had 2 inches of dust on it, and he was like, "What are you all doing? Like they have sparring equipment.
I guess they were just doing
2 inches of dust.
That's weird."
Yeah, they're always like, let's roll when they get down on their back. That's so stupid.
I just want what's practical and what works for every situation. I don't want something that's going to work this time because I'm in a bar situation, but then as soon as I step outside, it doesn't work anymore. I don't want something that as soon as I'm on grassy areas, I can get away with this technique. But Like if I'm on concrete, I wouldn't try it. Like,
Yep.
what was it that they said back in the day when we were kids? It was hard points for soft targets, soft points for hard targets. So like instead of hitting somebody in the face with
I know what you're talking
fist,
about, but I've never heard
like,
that, but I know what you're talking about.
It's better to hit somebody with a soft target on something.
Yeah, like your
that's gonna be
palms if you're
hard.
hitting the skull.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't teach that. It's like practical teaching needs to be like understanding the circumstance for why you're using the technique you're using.
Yep.
Unfortunately, everybody just goes straight to a bazooka. They're like I'm just going to get him into this leg lock right now. Like, have you seen how many leg locks is going on right now? Like, that's the number one thing. That's everybody's using.
There's tons of different variations of leg locks
because
they're painful,
and nobody knows that they're coming. Most people that aren't trained won't know how to defend against that, and it's just leg lock away.
Yep.
And that's a broken leg right there, and that's
well, they're not learning counter to counters either. Like anything you get put in, you can get out of it, but you have to train that, and it needs to be repetition.
Inherently fast. Yeah,
yes.
You have to do it fast.
Yes, because there's going to be times when you panic in the fight. Mm-hmm. That's why I try to stay clear-headed. But there's going to be times when you panic, and then you go back to what you trained.
That's another thing. Most people don't train about adrenaline.
Yeah, and they hold the breath too in a fight.
And they think that they're going to have this down, and it's going to be just like what they trained in. But the way you train is the way you fight, and the way you fight is the way you train. So it's like if you're training and you understand that adrenaline's going to kick in, everything's going to be 10 times faster and stronger. It's like adrenaline is crazy, man. When you get that stuff coursing through your blood, you're just like
I mean, I'm able to turn it on but remain calm, and I don't look like cool. I'm crazy. I'm able to do that, but
I get gargantuan amounts. Like my heart starts pounding.
Yeah, and I won't feel it like when they're hitting me and stuff. I won't feel it. Like I don't even care.
I just feel like I'm like amped up. Like I get too amped when I get into a fight. I cannot. It's hard to control that. Like it's like riding a wave.
Well, when you look at how many of John's students went to jail and prison over nearly killing somebody, like I have it in the back of my head, don't kill this dude. Yeah. The last fight I got in was with this Joseph guy, and he was arguing. It was internet beef, dude, and he spent a ton of money to come down here. And I kid you not, I was outside with my mom and dealing with her chickens, and the guy is on the cell phone. Hey, I'm down here at the park now. He flew 1,800 miles to come down here, and I'm like, oh really? I'm like, Mom, I'll be back. I didn't even tell her what I was doing. I come back 15 minutes later. I had blood all over my knuckles, all over my hands. She was like, what the hell? I was like, well, that Joseph guy came down here because she knew who he was. And I was more concerned that he would bring a weapon down here because I'm thinking, who's going to fly? He was from California. Yeah. And he was like talking all this nonsense. I felt so bad for that guy because that guy couldn't punch. He couldn't fight. And he held his breath. He was holding his breath. And at the end of the fight, I was like, dude, calm down. And I was like trying to tell him to calm down. And I was like, breathe. He's sitting there.
See, I like to do that before the fight even starts. I'm trying to get people to.
No, I'm like,
as much as
I'm breathing. I'm being cool. Yeah. Like it was ridiculous. This guy couldn't throw for shit. Like the only thing that he did that was even halfway impressive is at one point when he was throwing at me, he turned around and he just like suddenly like tackled me, and I went down to the ground. But when I went down to the ground, I flipped him over. I got on top of him and I put my knee into his ribs, and I'm literally in the middle of this fight in the park thinking this guy really wants to hurt me because he's mad. He's holding his breath. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, I'm hurting him with my knee too much. This is probably hurting him really bad, and he's going to feel it tomorrow. I took my knee off of him, and I pinned him on his shoulder so that I wouldn't hurt him. And I hit him like medium soft. I think somebody's coming in here. But at the end of it, I was like, I don't want to hurt this
somebody
guy.
Just opened up the door.
But I didn't want to, I'm like I can be aggressive and get that adrenaline, but I'm not trying to kill the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like at the end of the fight, I walked away. I didn't have bruises on me, nothing, and I'm sitting there thinking, the only thing he even hurt me on is he was so fat. This guy was so much bigger than I am, and when he came down on me, he hit me like, and then I flipped him. And I'm thinking, I was like 2 seconds late on that. So I flipped him after I hit him, but I felt it 3 days later. I was like, oh, man, yeah, I'm glad he didn't crack my ribs. But I kept thinking, that guy's messed up. I know I hurt that guy bad.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the way I'm thinking, man. I'm not out there to hurt anybody,
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to come back to me a week later and sue me, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem we have right now.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But I
wants
literally,
to-
I did. I came back to my mom. Fit like 10, 15 minutes later, covered. Next time you see her, I'll have her bring her up. I had blood all over my arm. She was like, "Wait, what's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's not my blood."
Like, what has happened?
I was like, that idiot came down here. But I was nice to him at the end. I even shook his hand. He even called me brother. He even hugged me. And I was sitting there. I was like, dude, I could have been cool with you
The whole time.
the whole time.
Yeah, you had to get through all this.
Like, why you got to start internet beef and fly all the way down here? He was like, oh, well, I got the flight tickets. It was points. And that's not the point.
That's not the point.
You know, I'm like, dude, you flew 1,800 miles to come down here
Yeah.
and run your mouth. And I was like, and you got put into the dirt. And like, I'm telling him to calm down because he's not breathing. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, I'm too nice. I need to just kick this guy's teeth out and go home.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was nice to him. And he was like, oh, brother. The funny thing is, later on Facebook, he blocked me. And I'm like, he realized he got his ass whooped. He realized I was nice.
It hurt his pride.
I was humble.
Yeah, it hurt his pride.
Yeah, and he got his girlfriend talked to me too all the time. She was like, "Oh, I don't want him to fight you," and I was like, "I can't control the dude. If you can't control the dude, well, he made her block me too later on because she was like, I gotta block you. I'm sorry, Tzion.
And
He's
you know
gonna get
what?
mad."
To be honest, that's what's happening a lot of times in today's society. Instead of people coming out and being like, "I don't want you to fight this person," and speaking to the person that they're their significant other, instead of like speaking to them about it, they'll go to you and say, "I don't want you to fight my partner," because they know that they can't get through to the other person.
Yeah.
It's like you could spare all of this by going out of your way and stopping and just talking to somebody. Like,
Yeah, I tried to stop him. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Because in my mind, I'm thinking if he does this to me, he's going to do it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that other person may turn around and kill him.
yeah, I was about to say, might not be as
Yeah.
nice or as generous. Like, that's another thing.
But I know I hurt his feelings, and I wasn't trying to, but he blocked me later. Yeah. I was like, ugh.
That's another thing I talk about all the time is nobody's going to be as generous or as nice as you will if you win. Like,
yeah, well, it
if
depends on who the person is.
If they win, they might just stomp you. And
yeah,
just
I don't
keep
trust
doing it.
nobody.
That's what I'm saying. But if I win, I know I'm not going to do that to them. So it's like it's weird because most people won't. They don't think like that. But
yeah, even when I helped him up, man, I was sitting there thinking, I was waiting on that hook to come. It never did. Yeah. What he did is he got up and then he leaned back on the tree because there was a tree there, and he was like catching his breath, and then he starts calling me brother, and he's like, man, I'm sorry, and it was all over a misunderstanding. All of this, he thought that I was yelling at him about a comment, and I was like, dude, I wasn't even scolding anybody. I was talking to another lady. But I was like, I wasn't even talking to you.
Back to what we were saying. See, this goes perfect with that. At the end of that fight, you have a memory of how the fight went and how it escalated and how it got to the point where it was at.
Oh, and he has a different
memory.
Yeah.
And at the end of things, he's going to say, "This was the time that I got my ass kicked." He might not even say that he got his ass kicked.
No, I got screenshots. I knew that was going to happen. I took screenshots of our beef. Our beef started on the internet. I have screenshots to this day of how it started.
Where he said he didn't get.
Where I'm trying to calm him down. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I got no. Because you know what?
That goes exactly what we were saying though, right there.
I record everything. Record everything that you do, guys. So I kept thinking, if this guy really comes down here, he's either going to use a weapon on me or he's going to sue me after. That's where my mind was. So I was like, screenshot. I had all these screenshots. This dude was, and like the other thing was, this guy was sending me private messages that he was going to kill me too. He literally said it a bunch of times. I mean, I didn't say that once.
He had that ass whooping coming. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And this guy was crazy. My mom was like freaking out. She was like, "That guy's a psycho." Like he even called me one time through face chat. But dude, I have internet beef with everybody like all the time. But
I have noticed. I have seen the videos.
People
but
don't need to act like that though. You can hate me and disagree with me and not want to kill me.
You should be able to have a disagreement with somebody and walk away from it. Yeah, I agree.
I can disagree with anybody and not want to hurt them.
So
crazy.
The ability that I have right now is I have the ability to have 4 microphones hooked up. And I can also do calls to where I can have like a group meeting where we can have these elaborate conversations. But in the future, I definitely would love to have you back on. But I want to talk about like spiritual stuff maybe on that one, and maybe get some more people. And you could be like,
Well, I'll tell you, I have been looking for someone as a third person. I don't know if you'd be a good qualifier because you know me, and somebody could say, "Oh, well, he's just your friend." But I've been looking for a referee for debates.
Debates? Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
So
I don't hold any sway. He knows
I wouldn't
me
want
long
you
enough.
to. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
He
would
knows
not
me
want
long
you to.
enough. I won't do that. So
So
yeah.
like as a referee, like me and the other opponent would come up with ideas, and the main thing is like if it's my talking turn and the other
cut
guy's
them off.
interrupting,
Make sure
you got to try to
that.
stop
Right.
them, and the same
Yeah, I
thing for
would
me.
love that.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that I want to do because personally, I think that those kinds of conversations are the kinds of conversations that the world needs,
Right.
and that will inevitably will change the world. Like in a weird way, good conversations like that can get through to the other person to where, if done correctly, everyone can leave that conversation going, man, I learned some really cool stuff today.
Right.
Like that's the kind of stuff I like. I love those conversations. And I've got tons of topics, guys. Like when I say I've got tons of topics, I mean, I got tons of topics and this is just season 1.
We're going to put Joe Rogan out of business.
Yeah, I wish. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I would love to have
me.
you. I would love to have you for a referee on that. But of course you can't side with one person or the other, at least on air.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
You know,
you're supposed to keep it fair, keep it,
I wouldn't want you to side with me. I wouldn't want you to give me an easier time.
That would be
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd
just
be
saying.
my personality. I wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I want. I want to have open discussions with multiple religions is what I'm wanting to have. So that way we can celebrate the uniqueness of everybody's religion and not focus on the differences so much. I think that there's so many people that nowadays that want to just focus on the differences between the people, and nobody wants to focus on the things that could be unifiers for everybody. And I think where I'm just getting into religious talks, like I don't really have a side as far as that goes. All I know is I'm trying to do better than what I was yesterday. So technically I'm for the good, but I still could listen to a person who's for the bad and still have an open conversation with them. So I think that
yeah, I'd be down for a round table thing.
I think that those need to happen, and that needs to be something that could happen quick, and those could be really great conversations. Like I would absolutely adore it to have Jordan Peterson on the episode to be able to talk, right? No, but probably not. I mean, that's a busy man, but still, that would be one of my favorite.
I don't know, man. It's like some people are really cool, and you reach out to some people, and they'll agree to it.
I have a horrible presence in social media. I'm just going to say that now.
You just be like, hey, I'm just starting off, but he may turn around and be cool enough to say, hey, yeah, I'll do that.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
I mean,
that's one of my future podcasts that I would absolutely adore to have. Because I mean, I'm not going to lie, that guy is really, really trying to change the world, and it's inspiring to meet people like that. Like if I could meet and have an interview or a conversation with like Elon Musk or you know what I'm saying?
Elon is one of my heroes, man.
Come on, like I would be so happy with that. Like
that dude is a genius, and there's so many people that hate him, man.
I know. I think you have to have grander goals to make it in this world. Like, and if you don't have those grander goals, you're not going to reach for nothing. And so for me, like that's like my big level dream, interviewing big tier people that I feel have powerful influence over people. When you think about influence and what it means to have, like this is kind of one of the things that I will be talking about. And that's, there's a progression of power. Mm-hmm. What gives people the authority? Like, what makes
that's a whole nother subject.
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. What makes authority?
Okay. So when you're talking about influence, we'll have to do that for another show.
Yes.
Because I'll probably tell you some stuff that'll blow your mind. 9/10 of the times that in Judaism or the Bible that they're talking about witchcraft, it's influence with verbal speeches, like political
verbal
talk.
commands, basically.
Yes. People don't know that. People don't understand that. They're thinking spells and this and that. But no, 9/10 of the witchcraft laws where it says don't do this is like political talk, circle talk, mazel stealing. It has to do with mazel stealing is when you're putting someone down in a way to where you're saying they're not good enough. Like say somebody's like, oh yeah, I need help with a flat tire or blah blah blah, and there's like 5 men in the room, and somebody goes, oh no, not you, Michael, you got a bad back, you can't do it, you got a bad back, and they're being derogatory, and they're saying it in a way that it almost you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it steals your mazel. Your mazel's kind of hard to explain in Hebrew. Mazel it's not your arrogance. It's not really your pride, but it's like your reputation and your drive. It's your drive and your enthusiasm for something too. It's many things. It can be your pride in a good way, and it can be. It's not arrogance. It's not like a sin, but your mazel, or when people say you got chutzpah, like, oh man, that guy's got a lot of chutzpah. That's when somebody's like standing up and doing the right thing when everybody else isn't doing it. And they're like, that dude is a goat. That's a good way to describe it. The dude's a goat. He don't care what nobody else is doing. Everybody else is sheep. He's a goat. So chutzpah and mazel are almost the same thing. But when you're mazel stealing, there's like a whole bunch of code of laws on that. So when you're talking about influence, there's all of these laws about you got to be careful who you're influencing. And even when you get students following you or a following, that it doesn't turn into a cult. And like all the stuff, quick. Man, dude. That's also, in this day and age,
that's also one of the things that I have down here for. Yeah, I want to go over that because that's a big one.
I'll cover that, man, because I know a ton of stuff on that. But I mean, like, people don't understand how dangerous influence can be, especially with a leader that's arrogant or narcissistic.
Ridiculous, it's ridiculous how fast it happens. Like, I don't understand how people can like. The thing that I have on here is mass hypnosis. That was the one that I wanted to talk about is mass hypnosis.
It can happen.
People will swear that they're like not in a cult, but will do horribly cultish things, and it's like, what classifies?
Well, you might be talking about cognitive dissonance too. That's a little different, but like there's mass hysteria. And then there's mass hypnosis, and then there's also cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is basically when you believe something, but everybody's showing you facts that defeat that, and you're like, no, I'm going with my feelings. It kind of goes with it, yeah. So that's what keeps people in the cult.
I was thinking, like, when I said mass hypnosis, what I was thinking of was when somebody could come out on stage with just some good, spicy words and get people going, and people just eat that shit up, and somehow, like, he's telling them things that are wrong.
Yep.
But at the same time, people are following.
Buzzwords are big on that today, man.
That's so weird.
Buzzwords are huge on that. Like, it's at a point where in this day and age, like 5 years ago when somebody said, you're a racist, everybody else that heard that would look, who's racist? Like, they're already judging that person's got to be racist. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Today, more, it's like, okay, y'all are flinging around that buzzword, but yeah, buzzwords can be a big thing on that.
Right now, it's for that P. Diddy. That guy is like...
I don't know that story, to be honest with you.
Only reason I'm going to say this is because...
I know he got caught doing something, he apologized.
The only reason I'm going to say this is because there's a lot of people who are slinging around the word for him being a pedo. And I feel like, just personally, this is just me saying it personally, if it comes out that he is one, then yeah, okay, whatever's whatever. But if it comes out he's not, you just...
See, I don't know what the thing is, so yeah, you don't want to judge the guy.
Yeah, you just ruined this guy's life for forever off of something that, like, so right now...
So I know R. Kelly did have younger age girls.
But that's R. Kelly, and everybody knew that.
Yeah, and he done a lot of weird stuff.
It's kind of weird that they did that anyway at the end. R. Kelly's a different story. But with this one, you've got a bunch of, like, FBI that went in and raided his house, right, for P. Diddy. And once they raided his house, they didn't say what they were raiding it for. They didn't say what they were doing there. Just everybody knew that this is kind of what it was. And then the rumor mill started. So then you had all these celebrities that came out and was like, after that had happened, they go, oh yeah, man, I knew that was Diddy. We knew that he'd been down for that type of stuff for forever.
Well, that goes back to Epstein's Island, though.
But see, that's where it's all going. So this is what I'm saying. So
Nickelodeon.
It's like, but you don't know if any of that's true or if it's just hearsay, because you've got a bunch of people saying some stuff doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, because most of these people are saying it from the perspective of somebody that's never been invited into the party that they're trying to say that they knew about. Right. So like, it's like if I invited you to a party and we all go behind closed doors and we brought another person, but we don't let them in the doors, and he tries to tell a story about us, but he never got behind the doors.
That's slander at that point.
It's just slander. So it's like, I don't want to be a part of whatever the hell that is, that weird circus that's going on where everybody's
I didn't know what
the
story was.
I don't know enough about it to say one way or another what I believe.
I'll have to dig into it, I guess.
But it goes to, I would like to make a topic, not on P. Diddy, because I don't care. Like, it's a man. He's fallible, just like anybody else, right? But now that's happened with P. Diddy, you're starting to see people talk about Will Smith got brought up into that. So now Will Smith is now looking at charges like as if he was into that type of stuff. A lot of political people, a lot of like celebrity people.
Well, did you see the Nickelodeon document?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you see the thing where they even show the
island and then
the symbols, man?
Like,
that's
crazy. So
okay, so that's how you publicly warn people.
You can publicly warn people
show
and
proof.
show proof.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. You can show proof and say that this is what this is.
It was Dan Snyder, I think. Wasn't that his name? Dan Snyder, that fat guy.
Something like that.
So like they show constantly where things are going on, and they showed constant.
Thank you.
They show constant evidence with that. So I don't worry about it. So they show constant evidence for that. But here's the thing: P. Diddy came out with this whole thing where he's apologizing. So what was he apologizing for if he didn't do anything?
In this day, well,
I honestly I don't know. I'm trying not to watch some of the news.
I feel like in this day and age, you kind of you're put to the fire or put to the coals until you say you're sorry.
That's true.
Even if
that
you
is
didn't
true.
Do anything like I've noticed? There's a big push for look at the best one
Bro,
ever.
I'll die before I say I'm sorry for something I didn't do. I will straight up die. 100%. I don't care.
Look at what was his name? Johnny, the guy who did all the. He was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, Johnny Depp. Yeah, but I knew he was innocent, dude.
Yes, but we knew he was innocent. But how many times did he apologize? And he wasn't even a guilty person.
That's true.
This lady went out of her way, and you could tell it on the stand.
Well, that's because he was abused too.
Yeah, but
when you're in an abused relationship like that, you do think that you do get to the. It's usually the person that's always saying "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." That's been victimized a lot of times, even for the men.
And I don't feel like we don't have a way to justifiably put there's not a thing we can put them into a machine and be like, okay, this guy was telling the truth or this person was. People can lie in a polygraph and completely pass it.
That's rare. Actually,
there's people who can manipulate the system horribly.
Well, so there's a lady that I watch called what's her name? I want to say it's Ghost Whisperer or something like that. It's a Body Language Ghost. I'm so sorry. It's Body Language Ghost. It's all one word. She is a body language expert. I love her to death. And I followed her because I studied a lot of body language. And she actually showed where Amber Heard was doing deceptive body language nonstop ages before.
You could see it. It was like pretty blatant. It was bold out there. And it's like, instead of coming out and saying like, hey, look, this is what happened or this was what happened. Yeah. She was being sneaky and trying to like record sessions in weird spots and like, are you James Bond? Like, what are you doing? So like, if you're getting to the point where you're doing this, you're already going in on a like kind of a shisty sort of. Yeah.
She's doing something and then hitting record after she's done it, waiting on him to react.
That's what I was about to say. Like I can understand if you're recording for a situation because you don't want to be like in trouble with like, you know, like in the future if somebody says, "Oh, well he did this." And it's like, "No, the hell I didn't." Like, here you go. You can see the recording. That's covering your own ass. Like I'm 100% down for that. I think everyone should do that. But like when you're doing it like, you know, I give you a slap and then I hit record. Now I'm watching you and you're pissed off because like, dude, you just fucking slapped me. And like, but instead I'm catching all the goodness. Like, it's like, This is stupid.
It's a form of gaslighting, but with the video.
It's horrible, man, and it's getting stupid. You get all these people who are guilty of the same stuff, but they're pointing fingers, not noticing that 3 more are pointing back at them.
Yeah.
Like,
well, as far as the P Diddy thing, because I don't know anything, I would just tell everybody not to listen to anything unless you have evidence. And if they're not showing, like I'm okay with public warning, but when you're lying about something and it's just gossip, there's no sense in listening to it.
It's weird. Okay, so the whole situation is weird. All right, so I'm going to say one way or another, I'm not for or against Puff Daddy. Like I don't have enough to say anything about him. My thing is I grew up, you grew up.
Yeah, listen.
When we had Hugh Hefner.
Oh, yeah.
Hugh Hefner had 5 girlfriends at the same time. And I promise you that not all of them were 18 at the time. And nobody said or batted an eye. There was not even a, we just knew that there was an old man who had 5 girlfriends and was living a weird life. And he had his own island. He had his own stuff. He had a big mansion. People would go to these mansions. You know how many videos are probably of that mansion? Come on. I would love to see the Hugh Hefner tapes. That's all I'm saying. If there's if there's some tapes out there, I know that guy had some. But what was the other guy's name who had the other magazine? It wasn't Playboy, but it was the other one. They even did a movie.
They did Hustler or whatever. I don't remember that guy's name.
I don't either.
Yeah,
he was a nut. Like that guy was cool, but he was a nut.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that's a little different because you got girls. You will have girls coming to, and I'm not defending him, but I'm saying he would have girls coming to him for the opportunity of doing the model shoots so that they get famous, and a lot of them are going to throw themselves on him.
But if you think
or
about
his staff,
okay, with you, what you just said right there. Epstein Island is the same thing.
It's with kids though, man. A lot of them are kids. Some of them are 7 and 8, dude.
So I haven't seen any of that, and I don't know enough about that. But what I'm saying is
disgusting. Yeah,
this is a dude who was a producer for movies, and it's like somebody had to bring these people there.
Yeah, but a lot of the Epstein. Well, here's the thing: that a lot of the Epstein Island victims that were used as sex slaves. They were actually kidnapped from families, and almost 90% of them. Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I did not.
Oh, dude, there's that. What's that movie that just came out?
See, that's ridiculous.
There's a movie. I think it was like We Have One Voice or We Have a Voice, or I don't remember. I saw it in the theaters, dude. I just wanted to murder people after seeing that movie, dude. They show the organized crime of Epstein Island. Literally, they show what happened on Epstein Island. They show the FBI agent that broke the case. They show all the things he went through. These kids are not 15, 16, 17. No, they were like little kids when they were kidnapped from their parents. And I can't remember the name of the voice. It was like something like voice or singing. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll get home and I'll send it to you. But I seen that in the theaters, and dude, it is like heart-wrenching because they don't hold back, and they show you where this American FBI agent had to go undercover. He had to go into the jungles of Somalia.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did see that movie.
He had to go into the jungles, and this is based on real life.
The Passion of Christ.
Yeah, he played Jesus in the Passion of Christ.
That was a good one.
So he turned around and he literally had to go find this, like...
I didn't think that was true. Like, that was an actual based on...
Dude, it was all based on a true story. And they even tell you at the end, they even show you the real people, the real girl they rescued. Like, this dude...
That's brutal.
He had never killed anybody in his life. He had to kill multiple people in this Somalia jungle with this, like, guerrilla warfare fighters, dude. Yeah. They would slit your throat for a cigarette. Straight up. He had to kill a bunch of them to get this little 8-year-old girl out. And then he had to run all night long with her in order to meet up with his buddies who waited for 3 days. 3 days at a location to pick him up. Dude, it was crazy.
That's wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. But yeah, it was based off Epstein Island. That's what broke it.
That's what I was saying. Like, I knew some things about, like, Epstein Island as far as, like, I thought it was just like what we're seeing with the P. Diddy thing where, like, it was a bunch of celebrities who went there that are getting blackmailed, who are now, everybody's like, oh, you're this, or this.
Yeah, you want to hear something messed up about the Epstein Island thing? You want to know the messed up thing? So Epstein was the guy that ran the island, but do you know who was in charge of getting all these kids and these slaves? And it was boys and girls. It wasn't
his wife, right? Like,
no, it was a totally different girl, a Nigerian woman. She was a model. She was Miss Nigeria or whatever, like literally Miss Nigeria. They went and they found this woman, corrupted her somehow, She was kidnapping dudes' kids all the time. She was running a fake children's model agency over in like Nigeria, Somalia, South Africa, all these places, dude, Brazil. She was getting all these kids, and these parents thought they were just like letting the kids go behind the stage door or whatever for like an hour with this, with all these adults around.
Jeez.
And then the parents were like, well, it's been 2 hours. They go in there, nobody's in there. Their kids are gone. Dude, that literally gone. Like, it's crazy. They showed the whole operation, ran by a woman, all of it. So that was my other point. Like, there's another statistic that shows that 93 or 94% of all porn today, websites and everything, ran by women. All of it.
I've noticed a big push on.
Isn't that crazy?
Like since the lockdown, I feel like the porn industry has been taken over by women because you've got OnlyFans creators that are making
and they're independent.
They're making millions and millions of dollars. So
well, now they shut that down. They did shut that down, from what I understand. I never got on that crap, but I was told that they shut that down and no one's allowed to do that anymore. So I don't know.
I'm saying that at the time during that whole COVID lockdown part, like there was millions of people that.
Oh yeah, and they were underage too.
And
yeah,
there was tons of
underage girls.
Tons that switched over to that. And so I could see that being a thing where they've taken over the industry, because who wants a pimp? Nobody wants a pimp. Like, and if you
true, yeah.
If you can do the same thing, make the money.
But I'm
yourself,
also talking about the videos that you can pull up on like the on the webs and stuff. Yeah. I'm talking about the businesses of porn.
No, that's what I'm saying.
They are also ran by women, the majority of them.
So for me, I have this running theory. It's a conspiracy theory. It's not, mind you. Yeah, this gets deep. The front page of every website that you go to is bought and paid for. And I think that this is just my own belief. I feel like those people who buy and pay, like whoever buys that front page on whatever website, it could be Facebook, it could be Twitter, it could be any of these things. As soon as you open up the app, whatever app it is, it will introduce you to the first page. And that first page, every video, every article, everything that is down through that is bought and paid for. And they want to literally sway you one way or another.
Well, I know that's true because they've offered me to pay for advertisements on my YouTube.
But now let's think about porn for a second. Like, I'm a dude, you're a dude. Everybody's like,
I try to stay away from it. I really do, man.
Everybody has seen a porn
site.
Yeah,
I've seen way too much in my life.
When you look at a porn site, that first page is bought and paid for. Whatever they're trying to push, it's in that agenda right there. So whatever you see on there.
See, I don't even know what you're talking about. So like I know they have ads, but it's like for sex toys and stuff. And
me and my buddy were talking about.
Are you talking about like regular products in the day?
No, it's more like agendas on what needs to be out there for whatever reason. That's what they're trying to push. Like
political, you mean?
Yeah, you've got people.
I had no idea what you're talking about.
There's people who push like.
I really don't watch porn, guys.
Do you remember the weird? We were talking about it at lunch. That Alex Gray or whatever his name is.
Alex Gray.
It's like a movie.
Yeah. We were talking about it. Yeah.
It's BDSM and everybody's like choking everybody.
What
and
was
they're
the name
trying to
of
push the agenda for that. That's a real big one that's coming out. Like a lot of people are pushing towards BDSM. No idea why. You've got people who.
I don't have. Okay, so like I don't have problems with people using sex toys or BDSM.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
If it's in their bedroom, I don't care.
That's not the problem.
I don't want to hear about it.
That's not the problem. What the problem is that when you go to a site like that, you're not able to just watch normal people having a video like it used to be back in the day. Nowadays,
yeah.
Nowadays, it's
scenarios.
They've got to have these scenarios, and every scenario that's in there is kind of in a weird place. It's in a weird agenda that they're trying to push out there. Like next time. You're on.
I'm not trying to pretend like I'm innocent, but I try really hard not to even look at that stuff. So
if anybody that's out there and you're into that, if that's your kind of thing, I'm just telling you.
What are you saying? They have like political?
Careful of that first page, because that first page is scary. These people are literally pushing an agenda. There was even an article on it with the guy who. Alex Jones,
you'd have to give me an example because I really don't know what you're talking about.
So Alex Jones, the podcaster,
yeah, I know
the guy
Alex
who
Jones
does that stuff, was getting nudged, quote unquote, is how they posted it. That's how they said it by the FBI. The FBI was trying to nudge him into saying the things that he was saying to get him in trouble, to go to court, to where he would lose.
Yeah, they're
all of
always
his
on
money.
his ass. Yeah,
which happened, and they came out and said this. They caught these people saying it in an interview, and now he knows that these people were influencing these people to sue him. Basically, they nudged the whole situation.
Yeah, and for the record, I absolutely think that they absolutely stonewalled and buried Alex Jones on that whole thing with that high school, and it got to the point where
I'm just saying that the nudge is
beyond ridiculous.
I'm just saying that the nudge is happening on every level. When you go into Facebook, I promise you that first page is bought and paid for. You're going to look through and scroll through Facebook, and what you will see on that first page is going to be the people who pay the most money to get those advertisements. You're going to see spaces open for products, services, different things like that by people who've paid money to get there.
Yeah. I do think Alex is hysterical at times.
He can be, and he can be over the top, and I'm not judging him for that.
Yeah, I'm
just saying if I'm an alcoholic, right? And
he did become one over time.
But what I'm saying is if I'm an alcoholic and every time I open up my any app and you keep putting alcohol ads in my stuff, you're giving me a nudge to go back into this thing. And that's unfair. That's even if he's trying to be a good dude, you're nudging him to go get that alcoholic fix.
Yep.
That's not fair.
Yeah. I like Alex to a point, but I do think that they've gotten to him. I really do, because he didn't used to be crazy out of his mind.
I think he uses it for. He
says it's for theatrics,
to get theatrics. That's what I think.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure,
because if you listen to his divorce records, his wife says that he's really drunken himself to death, and he.
But we talked about this earlier too. Remember, when you have the knowledge, anybody else who doesn't have the knowledge will think that they're going to think you're crazy.
Yep.
So. I kind of feel like he might be onto something, and then, I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, I like to read. So when I see a book with a good cover.
Yeah, so I want to defend myself to a point for anybody that may be thinking, oh, you're taking up for Alex. Okay, so when it comes to Sandy Hook, Alex was the first one to break the Pizzagate thing, number one. Okay, now that's not connected to it.
And I want to say bravo to him for that. Bravo
Epstein's Island is connected to that. Okay, so with the Sandy Hook, he was the first one to show that there were multiple suspects for shooting and eyewitnesses to more than one shooter. He was the first one to break that.
Right.
That story's disappeared. What happened? He was the first one to show that the coroner said that it was the AR-15 bullets in all the children, and then he shows later on that the AR-15 was not even used in that at all. It was pistols, and there was a shotgun, and they don't look anything like that. And then on the coroner report, he pulled that up and showed that the bullets were not from an AR-15; they were from a Glock, a freaking pistol. So we had this idea that this guy came in with his big rifle shooting all these kids, but in reality he had a shotgun and he had two pistols, and he was unloading on these kids and these teachers. Right. The other thing is he shows 15 different parents that all are from an acting school. Mm-hmm. I watched Alex Jones religiously at this point in time.
And he showed these videos where these same actors were doing crisis paid acting.
Yes.
And I thought that was okay.
And then on the same day the Sandy Hook shooting happened, there was an official public announcement that the government was going to hold a mock drill of a gun shooting at that place. Yep. What are the chances? Then he showed all kinds of crazy stuff.
He did.
And they went after him.
So as far as that goes, now we're starting to see that he was targeted.
Oh yeah.
Politically to assassinate his career. Like they wanted to shut him up. They wanted to make him quiet.
Well, he was a whistleblower. It goes back to that whole thing.
Yeah, so they did that. They made him look crazy. They took him out to court. These people sued him, and now they went after his money. And now that he doesn't have the money for it, now they think that they've got him shut down. And that's
no. He's back. He's been on stuff lately.
But this is what I'm saying. Like this is so. If we as the people know and understand that they have these tactics, that they could put people in a lot of jeopardy, that I can be nice every single day, hope that my message gets across to people and that people will resonate with it. But all it takes is one person to hate me on any level. It doesn't even matter what it is.
That's true, yeah.
They could say anything that they want to. And now I have to spend my whole next however long trying to backpedal, trying to say this isn't that and this isn't that.
Right.
And it's like, you've literally discredited this person for just that. Just
and
all
the scary thing is that the people running these psyops and stuff in the government, they would come to you and they'd say, "Oh, you want to be whistleblower? You know what happened to Alex Jones?
Instantly.
We'll make you like Alex
threaten
Jones."
you with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they ruin your reputation,
Absolutely.
and yeah.
We're at a point
crazy.
where I hope that if you're listening to this and you're still with us, I hope that you understand that these tricks are only being used to separate us. Now, if any of this is true, if any of the top people, these celebrities, if any of these people going out here are doing these horrible things, we together as a people can stop this. We can stop endorsing them. Don't work with them. Like, completely shut them out. Cancel culture can work in certain ways for certain things, but if we're going out of our way to just say something about somebody and there's no proof coming out and there's nobody saying anything, you're ruining the chance for real people that need the help that's out there. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of people.
We've covered
right now,
a lot
today. You've got a lot of people out there that really just want to see the world burn. They want to make you feel like you are less than you are. They want to make sure that you don't get help, that you don't get any friends that are going to help you out. They want to make sure you don't trust anyone. All you have to do is just look at what they want. If a person is telling you something, see what they want. What is their intention? What are they trying to get from this? I don't want anything from you. I want you to just use your eyes, see what's out there, and be better than you were yesterday. That's my main goal. If I can accomplish that for myself, I feel that I have succeeded. If I'm better than what I was yesterday, I have succeeded. And if one of you out there sees this and you feel like you're in a rut or that you can't do certain things, just know that you can. You absolutely can. We talked about getting a leader, somebody like that you can follow, somebody a mentor, somebody that can help you get to where you need to be above that next step. We talked about the truth about things, historical truth, and
that movie, the Alex Gray thing was 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. That's the one.
It just hit me.
And it's out there. I'm just saying, okay, so back to that one just for 1 second. That is a big thing where it's being pushed hardcore in every type of show that you can see out there. You watch any show that's in there in theaters right now, and it all started from 50 Shades of Grey or this one called The Secretary or something like that, where they're trying to push that dynamic on people. They want that to be okay and acceptable. Use your own judgment for that, but don't force it down our throats. That's all I'm saying. We've covered a lot of stuff today. Take it in however you want to see it. We're here for the long haul. And I'm hoping that by having these discussions and by having these topics, nothing is off the table. I'm hoping that we can have good conversations on things. And like I said, there's going to be topics I don't have a clue on, and I would love to know more of. There's going to be topics I don't want to know more of, but yet I'm intrigued by it and I need to know more of it. So,
hey, if you're a whistleblower and you know something, call into this show. Like, get a hold of Mike here.
Text,
say you want to be on the Mike Booth show. And
put it in comments.
There you go.
And I will absolutely make you a guest. We will pin that up. I'm just going to say this is
and
my
for the
first
record,
guest.
we are not suicidal.
No.
Yeah. Something ever happens.
I am not suicidal. I am not no pedo. I am not into any of this weird stuff. I'm just going to throw all this out there now. We are at a point where people will. I'm not a racist. I'm not a sexist. I'm not any of those things. We're at a point where people are going to use these things to try to program you into believing one way or another a narrative that is not your own. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And the more you can see these, the more you can adapt yourself to get away from them and to do your own thing, man. Like, you don't have to be locked down by other people's historical truths. So what one person says in a battlefield doesn't matter, like what one person over there is talking about, and they can have their own truth. This person over here can have his own truth. Everybody can have their own truth, but there's only one truth that's happening as we go. And like he said earlier, the winner of most of these battles will get to dictate what that truth is. Unfortunately, that does happen.
Yep.
But use your own eyes, walk in accordance, and just be generally kind to each other if you can, but still keep it as being a monster. Be that monster you need to be. You got any words to? Oh, check him out on YouTube. Tzion Talks.
Yeah, you can check me out, but that's more that I'm just being honest. Like, yeah, I would like the likes and subs, but it's more for religion and Judaism, or if you're a Ben-Noachic, if you guys know what that even means. If you're a Ben-Noachic or a Jew, then yeah, I'm a great place to hit up. It's Tzion Talks on YouTube, and it's spelled Tzion and then Talks. I am starting to do some relationship advice stuff though. I've just started it. It's brand new. Hopefully I can kick it off, but it's always going to be with the twist of what would the Jewish law say about things going on, and I'm taking examples from that.
That's really cool. And as always, this is the Higher Frequency. I am your host, Mike Booth. If you need to get a hold of me, message me in the comments. Tell me what you think. This has been a longer episode. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I just turned 46 today.
Nice.
46 young.
Nice.
46 years young.
Yeah, that's the truth of it.
Look at all that gray hair. I earned all that, man.
Yeah, that's it. I'm hoping to get some gray in mine. It's got maybe a few little pieces in there.
Yeah. Well, under Jewish law, I'm not allowed to dye it. So, yeah. But it's funny, if I were to cut it, like 2 years ago, I had it real shaved and everything. But if I have it low, it doesn't look as gray. But yeah, I got gray hair too.
That's really cool. I want my hair to be gray. That would be awesome. So yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, just write down in the comments what you thought of the episode. If you even made it this far, we are 2 hours and 34 minutes into this. This has been a really good podcast. I've been happy with this. We have jumped over a lot of topics. If you want to hear more topics like this, please put down in the comments anything you would like for us to talk about. So with that, I will see you later.